Yeah, I know some of you were already watching my broadcast a little earlier. My conversation, I guess my debate, although it wasn't really much of a debate. That's the thing with libertarians. Trust me. Once we've had a discussion, you'll find that, yeah, we're pretty closely aligned on most things. That's why I always say discussion is important, right? It's easy to put out the rhetoric, but let's actually sit down. Now, it's much better if we're actually face to face. But even if we're not face to face, even when we can just look at each other in video and audio format, that plays a key and pivotal role in how we want to interact with each other, because that is a representation of the human experience. You know, this whole thing with communicating with each other in text form, typing on words on the screen, that's so new. It's like it's nothing even conducive with how human interactions and exchanges has properly taken place. So it might be that case that'll be normal. It might be the status quo at some point down in the future. But so far, like I say, the only way that's proper as far as if we're going to have any interaction or engagement to talk about these issues is like actually when we can see each other and talk each other and converse with each other in real time, right? With full audio visual aspects included in that exchange. So anyone here today, and it's nice to see you, Dominique. I just watched that. Yeah, that was a good interview. Actually, you know what? As much like I say, we might have some disagreements, but like I say, at the end of the day, I think we actually get to a point where we're much more closely aligned. We've found where there's areas of agreement and decided that maybe we might be willing to put aside some of those areas of disagreement, to make sure we're doing the right things going forward. And I believe Brandon Kirby, and we're going to have a few more discussions. Actually, we've talked even after we went off the stream for quite a long time. As you know, I got a little case of verbal diarrhea, I guess you could call it, but I have a tendency to talk a lot. So we talked after the stream, and we're probably going to talk about these things, even the religious aspect. We're going to talk about a lot of things, economic, like I say, in regards to politics and religion. And we're going to talk about these discussions and these areas in our social and economic lives so that people can get a much better or nuanced aspect of how this all plays out. Because most people who listen to this mainstream media or the ruling class, they're not getting much in terms of education or information. They're getting a lot of indoctrination, a lot of top-down of imposing of ideas onto people, but they're not getting much in terms of discussion or debate in terms of the social economic issues or the philosophical underpinnings of what it is to be a free human being. So I'm glad to know that there are people out there. But today, forget about all that bullshit. Like I said, I already dealt with that. We're already done. We're going to deal with that another subsequent time. This stream is for anyone out there, and I'm going to pay attention to the stream in particular. If you want to join in, like I say, beautiful. This is my first time using it, but I've known about it for a while. I just wanted to make sure I had dotted my I's and crossed my T's and all that stuff before I used this particular model as far as our streaming service. But look, it's working great. So if you want to join in, and AJ was earlier on in my first stream, AJ, if you see this stream, I'm willing to bring you into it, and I'm willing to bring anyone into this. So just let me know if you want to join the conversation, not just in the stream, but if you actually want to sit there. Like I say, we could have 4, 6, you might even be able to have 8 people. Although I don't think we want to have 8 people, right? The Brady Bunch, probably too many people talking at once, right? Probably won't get a whole lot of nuance in that discussion. But yeah, I'm willing. Just let me know in the stream, and I'll bring you. I'll send you the link. Well, you got to tell me where I'm going to send the link. Some of my people that I already talked to and converse with, like such as AJ, I already know how to contact him and give him a link. But if you do want to enter into the stream, just let me know and tell me where I can send the link. And then I can do so. You don't have to do it in the stream, right? Go to my Facebook page, my Twitter page, and just send it as a message. And just use Twitter and Facebook, because those are the 2 predominant platforms that I'll be paying particular attention to. But just let me know, and I'll enter you into the stream. But hey, what's going on, Faye Knox? What's going on, Dominique Guay? Like I say, I'll bring you into the chat as well. Dominique, I just watched the Brandon Kirby interview. For libertarian, he sure seems okay with violating NAP. Yeah, like I say, this is an area in regard to economics where you have to have, because economics doesn't have a moral persuasion. Economics is just about the bottom line. But that's the thing. You can't, if you just use economics as the basis for your bottom line, well, that's not going to be conducive with creating a very healthy society. One thing about classical liberals, the classical or libertarians, or people that are free market proponents realize is free market fundamentals is in terms of economics. That's very important. But in conjunction and correlation with free market principles and fundamentals is you got to have some kind of sense of morality or ethics as your guiding purpose for your social or economic interactions. Because if you don't have any moral guidance, well, then it's just what? Might makes right, or majority rule, or who can offer the best snake oil salesman narrative, or who offers the best mouse, or whoever creates the best mousetrap, right? That's not the area that we want to function as libertarians, as people that are proponents of free market or who are adverse to forced subjugation, coercion, or top-down authoritarianism. We're looking for a way to socially and economically interact with each other that don't use force as the ultimate means to an end. So we'll get to that point. Like I say, there's some people that are just still trying to work through it, but that's what it is today. It's like I say, it's like watching the slow-moving car crashes. Ooh, it's nasty, but you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot. A lot of things, actually, maybe a car crash, probably not the best example or idea, but you can learn a lot by sifting through the actual consequences, the revelations that might be a consequence of a particular, hardship or something that's imposed upon you. So I'm always willing to adopt my intellect to someone that puts forth a premise that's much more astute than what I've already learned in the past. So if you got something better to say, then like I say, I'll bring you into the chat, and then you can say and push back against my premises, because actually that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. So let me just check what's going on in the chat here. So what's going on, Faye Knox? Nice to see you in the chat. Always good to see you. Or I won't see you, I guess, to see that you're in the chat. Patrick King, hello. Would love to chat. Okay, Patrick King. So let me see. Let me scroll down. Wow. Oh, yeah, no tie. Yeah, I'm just totally, like I say, I already did I'm in my informal aspect of my day. Actually, I was kind of unwind. I was actually to the point where I was like, let me just go into total unwind mode and like not even worry about it. That's actually where I was. But I thought, I kind of shut that stream down fairly quickly. I thought, you know what? There's probably a lot of people in the chat that wanted to say and vocalize their own premises or positions. So I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Let me give people the ability to say what they got to say, and not just, in a chat, but join me in the stream, which is why I'm doing what I do. So let me just see where Patrick is telling me how I can send him a link to the chat and bring him in. You did a video about me at the Legions. Patrick, I get it, buddy, but I do a ton of videos. Actually, today's Friday, Sunday. So I already got my Sunday video scheduled for an upload. You'll see that. It'll come out 9 o'clock Sunday morning. And guess what? Monday, my first video starting Monday, which will be, let me just check here real quick. Just to let you all know, you're getting the first, you folks that are in this stream, you're going to be the first ones to realize this. I've never said this to no one, so you're getting a sneak peek right here and now. Saturday's the 31st, Sunday's the 1st. So on the 2nd of September, right? My 1,000th video. I don't even know why I'm saying now. It's like, oh yeah, nothing like spoiling the surprise, right? Okay, whatever. At the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about the fact that, but I have produced 1,000 videos. Well, as of Sunday, it'll be 999. But come Monday, that means I've contributed 1,000 videos. So unless you've gone through that 1,000 videos, you don't know everything what I stand for. But it tells you that I've at least given a lot of information to a lot of people. And in regards to the Legions, yeah, I've probably covered that area, but I can't remember. Yeah, I just don't have enough storage capacity, I don't think, to remember everything I've done in the past, everything going forward, and everything I'm doing in the present. So it comes down to there's a degradation in terms of certain things because, like I say, I've only got so much storage capacity. But so I don't remember that particular video that I did. But like I say, if you want to join the chat, just tell me what to send, like an email address, or like I say, hey, contact me on one of my social media pages. Actually, that way you don't even have to put your social media address or your email address. If you just go to my Canadian Libertarian Facebook page or my Canadian Libertarian Twitter page and just send a message, I'll send a link to it through that messaging platform. And then nobody has to worry about what we said in between. So I did leave a comment. Oh, thanks, Dominic. Appreciate that, buddy. Once again, thanks for you for being stepping up and being a candidate in New Brunswick, Dominic. That's really, I really appreciate you for doing that. Shaved chest now, sexy bitch. Oh, damn, is that? Oh, I see. No, not really. I'm just not a super hairy guy. The summary was when immigration is entirely private sector sponsorship and those leaving are not doing so under fear of tyranny or survival. Only then can we say that immigration is moral. I'm like I say, I'm totally on board with migration and people being able to travel freely. The problem is that we don't function under this realm where it's just that pretense of freedom of movement. There's governments, right? It's like I love the fundamental aspects of free market and that kind of proponents of or that reality of free market capitalism. But like I say, we have to deal with the reality. I love talking about people in what we should be promoting and the kind of world we want to exist. But at the same time, we have to function in the world that actually does exist, right? I want to get to the point where I shouldn't have any ability to tell people where they can move to. That's bullshit. I think that's weird. Why should I have the ability to dictate who can move or travel freely? I think that's weird. But in a welfare state, which is what the modern Western societies represent today, a forced income and wealth redistributed state, the more people you bring into this country that have access to that wealth and income redistribution, that's more and more hardships imposed on the people in particular countries such as Canada. So to me, I'm all about, as a libertarian, not just reducing, but hopefully at some point in time, eliminating the potential for people to use force, violence, coercion, and theft against their fellow man, woman, or child, right? But at the same time, like I say, we always got to recognize and acknowledge is we can have utopian ideals, but let's deal with the reality that we actually have to function under. That's what a proper, like we can deal with the philosophical aspects of it and have idealism, right? But we can't allow that idealism to dominate reality. Reality, we have to acknowledge reality if we're going to figure out methods to get ourselves out from underneath the current position or the status quo that we're currently living under. You can't pretend that we can just dream government away or pretend that it doesn't exist. That's not going to happen. We have to sit down, like I say, as adults and discuss these topics with each other to put ourselves in the proper mindset where we're starting to think about these issues critically. Anyways, so yeah, I wanted to bring Patrick. CBC in Ottawa. The Legion canceled our town halls. Point Fire. What's going on, Point Fire? Long weekend, casual Friday. You damn right. Yeah, I actually added a little bit of extra stuff into my tomato juice today. Ow, baby. No, but yeah, this is just a total casual. Let's have some fun. But at the same time, I can get serious in a heartbeat if need be. Oh, thanks, Marcel Costache, for following me. Appreciate that. Oh, you're in Mexico. Awesome. That's great to know. I think Trainwrecks is better. Is a better edge. Thanks, Sally Brown. That's a good one. That's a good one too. Trainwrecks is a pretty good analogy, to be honest with you. What's up? Safe Space Cafe News, music, comedy. What is the discussion? Whatever you want. It's a free for all. It's just a free for all. No top down authoritarianism here. You do your thing, and I'll just respond in kind. We'll just interact, engage with each other voluntarily, and nobody will dictate and control how that all plays out. It's all voluntary. So, like I say, there is no, I have no particular area of subject or topic to discuss. It's just a free for all. Like I say, if you have something that you want to, because I know people all the time, they put out these messages or they post on my social media pages and they say, well, I'd love to interact or engage with you in a discussion. Well, this is your time. This is your opportunity. That's why I do these streams. Jobs, free speech. Yeah. Immigration, jobs, free speech, anything goes. Nothing's off the table as far as I'm concerned. Hey, what's going on, Doug Turnbull? Nice to see you in the chat. Oh, I probably should. Did I actually open up the YouTube part of this? Brilliant. Oh, nice to see you in the chat. Yeah, I did. So I had to mute that. Okay, all right. Yep. So everything's working good. Egger Forrester, 999 bottles of beer on the wall. One of them bottles happened to fall. 998 bottles of beer on the wall. Nice. Yeah. I can never get through that many. In my younger years, I might have tried that. No, not necessarily, but it's good. It's good. It's a good one. It's funny. That better not be beer you're dropping. No beer has a chance of falling around here or failing around here. Nice one. Back in the day, LOL, have the beer chunk before she hit the floor. Have the beer. Oh, drunk before she hit the floor. Whoa, wait a minute. Okay. Oh, okay, got you. Right on. Hey, what's going on, Leo? Hey, if you want to join in too. Okay, let me in. So, okay, I know how to get a hold of Leo. That's an easy one because we already have access to each other. So I'm going to do that right now, Leo. I'm bringing you in, buddy. Trying to stay on top of things. So now I got to go to the point where I got to get to bring people in, invite. Now, I'm really kind of liking this new streaming service, actually. Like I say, I knew about this for a long time before even some of the people that have used it already, but I'll let other people dip their feet in the water, see it all works out, right? And it did seem to work out fine. It seems to be working good. So, yeah, StreamYards is a great idea, folks. And those of you who are early adopters, good for you. So let me send this message to you, Leo. Here you go. Here's the link, my friend. Join me. There it goes. Join me at any time that you see fit. Actually, I'd like to talk to Leo. Leo's a good dude. So let me see what else is going on in the stream here. Beer is safe here too. Oh, yeah. Beer is always going to be safe. Like I say, just watch some of the prohibition videos back in the early 1900s and see how well trying to fucking prevent people from having a drink or two is going to work out for anyone. Some semblance of freedom are never going to go away, no matter what the authoritarians try to do, right? No messing with Faye either. Yeah, Faye's awesome. Well, listen. I'm lucky. I'm fortunate. I feel fortunate every day that I'm surrounded by a lot of people that are just fucking awesome. I love people that care about liberty. Like, these are people that just embolden me. That's what you people, you have no idea how much you do to inspire me. Every freaking one of you, even if I don't respond to you in the chat per se, let me tell you, every comment that you put out there, every time you interact with me, like I say, especially those of you who are just as vigorous and inspirational in terms of standing for individual liberty, all those things help invigorate me. Because some days I get a little bit defeatist and feel a little bit overwhelmed. And then every once in a while I'll get a message or a comment or a post by people like yourself in the chat. It's like, yeah, I love these people. And it just invigorates me once again. Oh, let me see if I better go back here and make sure, check and see if Leo's in the chat here. Not yet. Not yet. All right, let me continue. Hey, what's going on, Plant Boy? You want to join this in the chat? Let me know too, because we can bring a few more in if you want. You're a machine today. I'm a machine. Yeah. Call this Terminator fucking 10. I'm the fucking Terminator when it comes to talking. I go 24 hours straight if I need be. Actually, maybe I should do that someday just to show people I can do it. I go fucking 24 hours. Sorry, folks. I know I get a little funny that way. No messing. Yeah. $15 off for 24. Yeah. I am. Yeah. Okay. Post 9/11 business is the guise of safety. If they were concerned about safety, they wouldn't be selling alcohol. Start your wallet, but sell it inflated. What? Wait, say what? Scarf your wallet, but sell at inflated prices. Post 9/11, businesses in the guise of safety. If they were concerned about safety, they wouldn't be selling alcohol. That seems a bit of an odd post. The problem with free market is it's a springboard for monopolies. No, it's not, Sally. Free market. Okay, free market, and I'll wait. Like, well, you got time here in the chat. Just go do a Google search. Or if you don't want to use Google, use DuckDuckGo or whatever. Just learn what free market is. It's just free people, right? And free people, I mean, I suppose they could be a threat to someone, but if you're all free, I mean, there are some people in a free market where all people are free. If you just like open the cage, like think about it. If you can find 100 people and they were all locked in a cage and you open that cage up, and you release them all, and you say, you're all free. You're no longer confined to be stuck in that cage anymore. 99% of them be just happy to have their freedom and figured a way to make that as beneficial for them and the people they care about. There might be one or a couple turn or use their freedoms as a means to impose hardships on other. But once again, if you allow freedom to function, well, the 99 or the 98, the majority will still be like, yeah, those few people, those authoritarians, like, yeah, we got a lot more power to push back against them. The problem is with government, with big government, is you're given that minority, right? And in Canada, we've always been ruled under a minority, whether it's the Liberals or the Conservatives, or even in provincial governments, as far as the NDP, you're still always ruled over by a small minority. Even when you say like the Liberals or the Conservatives that got a majority government, it was a majority which represented what, 39% or 40%, which is still actually a minority of those who chose to vote. But because of the way the first past the post system works, a very tiny minority, so 40% of what? 60% of the population who votes, because there's 40% of the population, or 35 to 40% that don't vote. So take that huge portion of the Canadian population, so upwards of 10 million people that don't vote, leave the rest that do vote. So let's say they're 14, 16, 17 million, depending on the population at the particular time. But even out of that 14, 16, or 17 million, it's still a minority of them that represent a majority in terms of voters, right? Once again, you got to know math. You got to know arithmetic to understand these things properly. Is you're still talking about a minority that's ruling over the majority. That's not even a representation of democracy. So all the, like I said, all the political arguments that I've heard, none of it has anything. It's just, it sinks into the quicksand the minute you actually thought about it correctly. So the majority doesn't rule, the minority doesn't rule. It's those who are part and parcel of the connector to the ruling class. So like I say, whether they're a representation of a majority of the voices or a minority of the voices, it's those who pick up that mystical gun in the room. And I'm saying I don't believe that we should have access to that gun in the room, but the gun in the room exists. Let's figure out a way to at least cause the least amount of harm to each other. At the end of the day, that's all I really care about. Oh, let me see if Leo, I haven't even seen Leo. Oh, shit. Did I send the right? Yeah, I sent it. So I sent the link, Leo. Let me check on Facebook. Do I have Leo on my Facebook that I could send it to? Bit of a beast, bit of a beast. No, I'm not seeing it. So I guess I had to send it to you through. Well, I thought that would have been easy because we've messaged back and forth on Twitter. So I sent you the link on Twitter, Leo. Not sure what's going on, buddy. Anyways, back to the task at hand. The problem with that was Sally. Okay, so yeah, it's free markets. Like I say, free markets is taking that gun out of the people's hands, right? The mystical gun. So it's like, no, they won't be able to impose in a genuine free market environment. They won't be able to impose shit on you because that's what the free market is. Eek. Like, come on, let's use the language properly. Freedom. If there's freedom, that doesn't mean that anyone has the pretense of authority over you. And that's what free market is. Free market is just you and I. Hey, Sally, if it was you and I and 20 other people in a room and we call it a free market, it just means that we don't have any pretense of using force against each other. So free market is not going to be a harm to you because they're not using force. You have a voluntary choice to interact with people or don't. So they can't impose anything on you. So free market fundamentalists or people that are proponents of free markets is like proper free markets, not government imposed free markets, which aren't free by any stretch of the imagination because it's central planning. But I mean genuine free markets where no one gets to be able to use that mystical gun in the room to impose their ideas on people. No, it's not a harm to anyone. Freedom is not a harm to anyone. Holy Jesus. I shouldn't even be able to say that. I shouldn't even have to say that, to be honest with you. But anyways, that's what I do. Frost overnight for the past 2 nights. Ooh, Plant Boy. Careful, especially based on your name, Plant Boy. Ooh, the frost things can be terrible for people that are plant. Sally Brown, no craft beer, just the regular shit. It's all good. You say to each their own. Marcel Katai, the Colombian gentleman does not understand the hard times his blue-collar taxpayers have to deal with. No, Not all of us have businesses or our stock market. Jim does not. So that must have been a conversation with someone else. So yeah, I don't know how that played out. Ouch, plant. I'm a little south of you. Hey, what's going on, Rainy Steps? Nice to see you in the chat. Like I say, anyone wants to join in the chat, let me know. I'll give you a link, but I'll have to give a way to give you the link. So you have to give me in some way. And I'm not saying to do it in the chat, because if you post your link in the chat, like how to contact you, then everyone else see it too. But you can go to my Facebook page or my Twitter page and send me a private message, and I'll send the link to the chat. We need to get rid of the current government and get Bernie in so we can return our country. Yeah, well, at the very least. Yeah, 100%. Sorry, we agree on that for sure. But beard tax? Beard tax. Fuck the beard tax. Got you on Twitter. Do you want to join in, Dominique? I'll send the link to you, Dominique, just in case you do. And if you don't, it's all cool, but I'll send you the link as well. So here it is. Actually, let me make sure that that link is proper. Go back to my StreamYards. Invite, copy. Okay. No, that should be right. Should be fine because it's quite an easy thing. That's the one thing I like. So paste. Yeah, exact same. So yeah, that's the link. Just click on that link and it should give you access to join me in the stream if you want to do so, Dominique. I'm going to check through my Facebook here. Hey, what's going on? Tim Owen shared my post. Oh, it was my the post I put on my Facebook page in regards to me and Tim Owen. We're going to have a great discussion. This should be awesome, actually, folks. So we're going to be talking about immigration and borders in a welfare state because, once again, this is the world we live in. Libertarians, we have all kinds of ideas like how things should probably play out in the absence of a forced income redistributive state, but we have to deal with the real world that we currently live in. And me and Tim are going to have a great conversation this Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And I hope that we'll be able to discuss this. As a matter of fact, you'll probably acknowledge and recognize that it's going to be a conversation where we'll definitely challenge each other's minds and our premises. But at the end of the day, I just can't imagine that if, well, I mean, I know Tim very well. I can't imagine that we're going to have too much in terms of our disagreements, but it still should be an interesting conversation either way. Okay, let me check. Okay, scrolling down. But beard tax? Fuck any tax. But beard tax, yeah, that's bullshit. Well, there's lots of tax already. Got you on Twitter. Carbon tax. Oh, damn. Sorry, man. I just meant the chat. But we don't need to do a live chat soon, bud. But we do need to do it. Oh, okay. Got it. I have a lot of topics we need to talk about. I'm actually working it. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. If you're sorry, Leo. I didn't know you're working, buddy. But yeah, for sure, man. You know. Oh, somebody's in the chat. Oh, it looks like Dominic. But yeah, for sure, Leo. Here, I'll bring you in here, Dominic. Just give me 1 second, buddy. Hey, Dominic, good man. But yeah.
How goes it?
Oh, shoot. I got to turn my volume down here. Yeah, you're loud. Well, you have a great connection. I remember that. So you're going to be in really good quality here.
Yeah.
Let me turn it down. Okay, nice. Yeah, I'm doing fine. I just wanted to finish off with, yeah, so Leo, trust me, buddy, we'll have a chat soon. So you do your thing. I know you're busy today if you're working, but yeah, we'll talk soon. But nice to have Dominic in the chat. Another PPC candidate, a fellow man that cares about this country. And you know, if you've already been watching and paying attention to my videos, that Dominic is a very good representative of what it is to be a free human being. And he's a good spokesman for the PPC. And I'm very glad to have him as a candidate for the PPC. Like I say, I'm proud to know there are people such as this that are actually stepping up the plate. He's a young man, but he punches way above his weight in terms of intellect and understanding what it means to be stepping into that fray. So thanks, Dominique, for joining the conversation. Go right to it, man. Say what
I feel like I was joining in at the right time with I'm getting some feedback on your end.
Oh, are you getting feedback?
Okay, it's gone now. But so yeah, I jumped in at the right time where everyone's complaining about how taxed they are.
Nice, right on. Right. And you know, that's the thing with people that they should understand is with the PPC, we're trying to, like I say, rather than trying to outsource and find ways to make up for your bottom line as a business owner. And I get that some of them will do it, which is even when I was having the discussion with the gentleman earlier in our informal debate, is I get it. You're looking to make a compensate a better bottom line that's productive for you. But like I say, there's many ways we can do that. And like Dominique will acknowledge is let's reduce the burden on the businesses in this country. And trust me, if you give them that proper incentive, then they won't have to look elsewhere. To me, it always comes down to, I keep saying this time and time again, incentive. If you incentivize people properly, you can create a proper economic environment where you don't have to race down to the lowest common denominator. You can actually raise and elevate people. But go ahead, Dominic, what's your stance on the issue, buddy?
So, funny enough, I was talking to some pretty diehard NDP people, and it's gotten to the point that the people that are clinging on to this dying party, because that's what it is, it's on life support, are people that are arguing for the corporations. The people that want this regulation so they can monopolize the system, they're arguing for them now. And it's all under the guise of, now Jagmeet Singh can control the weather and he's going to save us from climate change. And the way I look at it now is Jack Layton wasn't the only thing that was taken away from the NDP. It was the NDP itself that died with Jack Layton. It's
I actually kind of agree with that, because as much as I'm not a fan of socialists in any way,
yes,
I at least understand the basis of why they have a popular platform and a base of support, is because they realize that some people, the corporate class, use government and lobbying efforts, and they have a lot of money. So they're like, well, if they're going to use force and violence against us, well, I guess the only thing we have to challenge them is that same equal and opposite amount of force. And all I'm saying as the referee, as a PPC guy or a libertarian, is I don't want to use force against anyone. Matter of fact, I do recognize that, even though I am talking about the political realm. So that's a hard thing to try to square, because that is a representation of force. But once again, I personally, I can't speak for anyone other than myself, but once again, if I was the guy that took possession of that gun, so I was now the new political leader in Canada, I'd be one of those people like, let me just open this drawer.
Let me drop the mag out.
Yeah.
Clear the
Let me drop the mag.
and put it down.
Right? It's still going to be close enough that if somebody comes to threaten me, I'll be able to pick up quick enough that I'll be able to defend myself. But I'm not going to sit there when we're trying to discuss these kind of topics or like these social economic issues. I'm still not going to do it while I'm pointing it at someone, because it's not a good way to exchange in terms of intellect or dialogue if you're pointing a gun at people. That's the problem with politics, and you understand this intrinsically, obviously. So at the end of the day, I think Maxime, and I think that's the message he's trying to send, is government is a representation of force, but we're just saying we want to use that gun for very finite reasons. Very, very, very finite reasons. Let's take the gun out of the equation for the most part, especially when you're talking about social interactions as far, with abortion and stuff. Let's talk about these things, or not just abortion, but religion. And so let's talk about these things. Let's talk about them. Let's hammer these things out. But same with economic issues. Let's hammer these things out. Let's let the free market let's let free people, because that's what a free market represents. Let's let free people be the ultimate arbiters and deciders of how that whole economic system should play out, rather than someone, like I say, picking up that gun and saying, I'm going to pick winners or losers. That's not a proper way to do things. And like I say, that's not going to be conducive with flourishing freedom in the future. And I don't want to play this game where we're all going down to we're just picking up the gun, because I've seen where that has taken us. And the PPC is saying, put the gun down, let's talk. And so far, the only people that are willing to engage in dialogue, interact with me, or people like you, are other libertarians or free market proponents. At some point in time, the left and the right, those ones on the extreme, and it's not us, we're not the extremists.
No.
Those people on the stream, they got to stop playing their fucking games and just come closer to where we are, and let's just sit down and talk about these things.
Well, one of the things that I see most is not even that the government is now the perpetrator of the use of force. It's more of the little sock puppet that that corporation now uses as the face of that force, where in reality, the person being lobbied to, because as I was speaking to this person in the NDP, one of the arguments I used, okay, what's your position on quantum algorithms and the use in security? And of course, with the person, when they tweet back to me, is clearly they just did a Google search and try to one-up me. But they lost the point. The point is that someone like me, I'm not going to know all these things. So when I go to represent people, there's going to be lobbies with experts that are going to come up to me and say, well, if this is going to work, we need this law, this law, this law, and this law. And I've just been played like a fiddle.
Yeah.
That's the issue. We have people that, unlike me, who understands that I have limitations in my knowledge. I can't know everything. So if I go into that pretense when I go to serve the constituency, I'm not just going to go, oh, yeah, that sounds right. Oh, yeah, that sounds right. And push something without any forethought. Because that's what ends up happening with a lot of the regulations that we have right now. There's no thought into, okay, what's the effect of this 20, 30, 40 years from now? It's more, okay, well, I have 3 years until the election. Am I going to get voted in by doing this?
Yeah, exactly. This short-term thinking is why we live in the current world we live today, is because everyone has done that short-term thinking was what's best for us in the here and now, rather than think about that big picture. Like me, the whole thing, like I say, philosophically, politically, economically, socially, is step back away far enough that you can take a good focal point where you can see the big picture. That's the only way. And it still doesn't mean that you're ever going to have everything. Like you say, we're never going to have the answers. I can't have all the answers. You can't have all the answers. But one thing I can say is what has always worked out best for all human interactions is not to be pointing guns at each other.
Yes.
All I've ever noticed through all of history, all guns have ever shown is might makes right. But in this modern world, we can't use that anymore, because if you use the pretense of might makes right, well, then whoever's got the most nuclear bombs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what do you get at if you use that might to impose your ideas on? Well, you just end up with a barren landscape with nobody that exists anymore. So you haven't done anything. That's why we humans, we've advanced past using might makes right. And we've advanced to the point where we use things such as philosophy, morality, ethics, right? These are the things which are the underlying principles that we use to guide us in our social or economic engagements or interactions. Like I say, I don't know what I'm going to do. I could meet someone tomorrow, and I don't know how that exchange is going to take place, but I do know that I'm going to always base my decisions and my interactions on those fundamental principles that are universal in nature. And that's what I rely on. I don't know what's right or wrong as far as how that interaction is going to play out, but I will say that I'm not going to seek to use force or violence or threat to impose. And I'm going to try that. And if I, seek to use that, a voluntary exchange with people, the people that I'm going to end up interacting with are going to obviously want to adopt that same mentality. And that means that, and rather than me imposing force on people, it'll show by leading by example. And these people say, this is a good way. That's what the West has done. That's what the West does best, is show if voluntary interactions is it's what works best for creating harmony and unity for large subsects of not just your country, but even if you step back far enough to the global stage. If we have actual genuine free trade, I'm all for free trade, but not if you're using government as the means to an end, because government programs is what happens today. We don't function under genuine free market fundamentals where we can hold each other to a particular moral or ethical standard. Now it's about who can be more opportunistic, and that's vulture capitalism, that's crony capitalism, that's unethical, that's immoral capitalism. That is, like I say, the best thing that the West has ever done through all of history, and I can say, is combine the beautiful ethics of the post-Enlightenment era and with a little bit of basis for that fundamental aspect of Christianity, and use that as the foundation for your social and economic interactions. That is what's done. That's why the West is the best. And that's why I want the West to continue to be that way and not go to the means of might makes right. Because if we go to the means of might makes right, then we're just racing down to being just in the state of nature. And humanity has actually shown that the best thing that we can do is escape just the state of nature.
So to continue on the discussion I had with that NDP supporter, I had mentioned the fact that the Greens are against nuclear technology, and the issue being, and the premise and the reason why I brought it up was when the government ends up choosing the winner and losers, we can't actually innovate, because they were selling this idea that the government has to be involved with innovation, because if we don't spend taxpayers' money, we're never going to be able to invent stuff, apparently. So, funny enough, bringing that up, she asked me, well, what's the point of bringing that up? I work in a nuclear reactor station myself, and it was subsidized by the government. And I just looked at that message and went, well, all the more reason that you should be looking at the government and going, if a green government went in, I don't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
Because the same way the government giveth, it can taketh away.
Yeah.
And that premise never seems to cross over. Oh, I'm getting all this from the government, but there's no such thing as a free lunch. So where does that come back in? What are they taking away from you that you're not paying attention to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, what I want to do is like what Maxime Bernier says, is give people more access to their disposable income and allow them to do what's best for them and what's right for their immediate family or the next. Because I like I say, some people might do the wrong things, and we know this. There might be some people get their paycheck and they'll just go squander it in a lottery.
Well, if we don't let people,
sorry, go ahead, man.
Yeah, if we don't let people, like I said before in our last interview, is if we don't let people to fail, we're not prepared to let them succeed.
Exactly. Well said, Dominic. That's right. Because just like the person that keeps wasting and squandering their check on, pulling the one-iron bandit, right?
Yeah.
You can tell them they shouldn't do that, but that's not what's going to change or correct their habits or behaviors.
Yes.
It's something that's going to happen in their life that will put them in a position where they have to make a fundamental decision, what's right, and give them the proper moral guidance and principles to at least get them closer that they're going to make the right decision. Doesn't even mean that they're all going to make the right decision. There's still going to be that idiot that just wants to waste his paycheck. It's like, I feel bad for the person, whether it's a guy or a girl. It's like, you should not do that. But at the end of the day, I should not have any means of authority to tell you what you should do in your life. I think at the end of the day, actually the best course of action for you to correct your habits and behaviors is not by me using authority or imposing my will on you, because you'll only do what you do. If I correct your habits and behaviors because I impose my will on you, I didn't teach you anything. I just taught you that force, once again, might makes right. And you're not going to correct your habits and behaviors because you know it's right. You're only going to do it because you're scared of what I'll do to you. That's not like, even like I say, and I've said this in the past, even with raising my kids, if I raise my kids to only be scared of me, oh man, I don't know what kind of kids I'd even have as adults if that's what I did. Well, although I've seen many of them out there, trust me, the parents that did that, like, man, these kids they're just empty shells. They're void of actually a genuine human being. They only live vicariously through their authority, which is a shame, because I want them to experience their own individuality and what they represent or what they bring to the table. So let's not use force. If we want to correct people's habits or behaviors, is give them a good basis or a philosophical underpinnings to tell them the right thing. And if they make mistakes, let them suffer the consequences of their mistakes. I don't have to necessarily, the guy that squanders his paycheck, I don't have to impose any hardship on him. He's already done that himself, right? He's going to suffer that consequence. And if he's willing to do so, as long as he's not causing hardship to other people, or even if he is causing hardship to other people, let's say he has a family. Let's say it's a dad that's got a wife and 2 kids. Well, the onus is on that wife and the 2 kids. If that dad or that parent is so irresponsible and so reckless that they're destroying your ability to, keep a roof over your head or food in your mouth, then once again, it goes back to personal responsibility. Mom and the kids, if that guy is not doing the right thing, I mean, it's best for you to try your best to entice them to do the right thing. But at the end of the day, if they choose they're not going to, rather than picking up a gun and forcing that, then just go elsewhere, do your own thing, and be the provider yourself, so you're not relying on someone that's incompetent to do so. That personal responsibility to me is at the very core, as far as eliminating this top-down authoritarianism or opposing our ideas on each other, is personal responsibility. I don't want someone else to try to impose their will on me. I want to assume that task, that role, that responsibility to stand up on my own 2 feet and do the right thing for myself and for those who actually rely on me. That's the best thing, like I say, whether you're talking in your personal realm or in the economic or the philosophical or the political realm, the best thing you do is give people a much better alternative or option to pivot or steer towards, right? Instead of traveling down that same old dusty, dirty, bumpy, washed out road, just offer them a better option, right? I'm not going to block that road. I'm just going to say, look at this. I'm going to give you look at it. Look at that. It's nice and smooth and paved. Look at how nice that is. I got like reflective stickers on both sides. I'm just going to offer them a better option, and then I don't have to use force at all, right?
Yeah. So there was a question about the issue of the pipeline and it coming through. So as the hopeful representative for Tobique-Matiquac, the pipeline is a huge issue for us. It's a lot of jobs, even just for New Brunswick and just the surrounding Atlantic area. That's a lot of jobs that could be formed from that. And I would love to see some tax reform to make it cost effective for companies to keep the processing of that crude oil within the country instead of being sent off, because that's more jobs. Who doesn't want more jobs?
Yeah.
So the idea is that there is a constitutional power within our charter and constitution as it was formed that allows the federal government to impose a structure within each provincial government if it's a national issue. The pipeline is a national issue. It's affecting everyone throughout the slate, and it's making jobs everywhere up through until New Brunswick with the most recent proposal. So that is one of the reasons why we can swing that. If that kind of answers your question there, Biz, I can go into even more detail, but
yeah, do your thing, because I'm actually I just noticed AJ. So yeah, go ahead, go through the chat, do your thing, Dominique. Take right over, buddy, because I'm just trying to get a little bit update in the chat, because as you probably know, I have a hard time staying on top of the chat because I get very interactive, engaged with the person I'm having a conversation with, because I feel weird. Don't you feel weird when you're like trying to talk to someone and then you distract? It's weird. Even when I'm talking to someone, they're like on their phone, just like, what the fuck? This is weird. Put that damn thing down. Aren't we trying to talk? So I'm trying to be better. Like, I'm sorry, especially for the younger people. I'm trying to be better. I really, really am. But I still function from that old mentality where it's like be hyper focused on the person. But I'm trying to spread it out. And AJ was in the chat, and I just want to let him know that he can join in with this as well if he wants to. AJ is a good dude. You know AJ? Have you ever watched any of his videos?
Yes. To answer your question, it does, Biz. So what would happen is we would go through consultations with the First Nations, but the premise of that would be to basically make sure they're not getting a bad deal in the type of, so when we go through, because it may go through land, it may not, but when it does, it will allow us to go through that consultation part where we go, okay, this is the land that we're going to have to cross. How much is that going to cost you? We go through a little negotiation there, but them overall just saying, no, we don't want it, that's just going to go out the wayside. But we want to make sure that we offer a fair price. And if you talk to First Nations bands, that's all they care about. All they care about when it comes to energy is good deals. So that's it. Ultimately, as long as there's a good deal on the table, they're going to be happy about it.
Nice.
And on the issue of the equalization, because of us fixing that equalization issue, it will put a lot of pressure on Quebec to accept that pipeline. Because why are you going to go and accept this pipeline from Alberta when Alberta is already paying your check as it is?
Yeah, good one, man. Just trying to pay attention to the chat. I'm down. Okay, so AJ is down. Okay, send me link. Okay, I sent the link, AJ. It's going to, I know AJ, I have to do it through, he uses Discord, and that's actually the only thing I haven't, I'm on all kinds of social media platforms. I'm still not on the Discord. Sorry, folks. You know what it is? I'll just say this right now, even during the chat, is it's hard to stay on top of all these things. My God, every time
Yeah.
I got a freaking fly ripping around my face here. But yeah, every time I turn around, there's like a whole new thing. Holy crap, I can't keep on top of all. But I'm glad.
When I was in the military, where I was armored crewman, so I have one radio in one ear, one radio in the other, so I hear la 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 from two different people, and it's like, okay, I got to write this on this map.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, I'm talking to everyone else in the vehicle.
Oh, it's crazy. But I get, especially some of the younger folks, like I watch even my own sons, it's like, oh my God. But because they were born and raised in that, and their brain, like certain processes in your brain is adapted to your surroundings, right? So it's better function to adapt to their current environment. But because I was raised, mine is a little bit more from a different, so it takes a whole lot more. Mine's like more solidified. So it's like I got to break. It's almost like using a pickaxe or something.
Yeah.
Concrete. I got to beat that shit all up and try to break
it. Bad habit.
Yeah. So it's a little harder, but I am one of those people though, especially if it is a bad habit. It's like, well, let me do a little bit better job. Maybe break this shit up and try to see if I can see what's on the other side and do better. I am always trying to improve, but because I recognize there are some things that kind of stick to us, because especially that's why it's so important to get people that are younger in terms of these things, because if they've gone through, like I say, whether it's a religious experience or, well, once again, another religious experience in terms of statism, is if they get too rigid in their ideology, it's harder and harder to break through that as they get older, which is why it's so important to talk about the kids, especially when they're going through their educational process in their younger years, to get them to think about things more critically, right? So that way they're not stuck in such a rigidity in terms of their intellect, and they're willing to think outside the box, because the people that have always advanced humanity have always been the ones that, denied that kind of rigidity and said, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try just to step 1 foot or 1 toe outside of what you dominated to me for so long and see how that works. Because that's, I think, now sometimes it could prove to be bad. It could be proved to be positive, but at the very least, I can't say there is a particular nuanced area where I can say you should never allow nuanced thought. I think the best thing we could do is allow people to think critically. And then I think most of them, not all, some of them will still fall in line with authoritarianism because it's the only thing they recognize that will benefit them. But I think the majority of people in the modern world we live in, are competent enough that they're mostly willing to interact and engage in a voluntary exchange. And the reason why I believe that is because most people I've ever dealt with over the course of my entire life, and you would be able to say this yourself, is we did this voluntarily. There are some things that government impose on us, but 95% of the interactions or engagements I've had with people socially or economically has been done through voluntary exchange. So it tells me that humans have a predisposition to want to do things in a manner that isn't using force, because they recognize it's not just that it's bad for the person that's on the other side of the equation, it's bad for them as well, right?
Well, so the general animal is like that. Like when we look at animals, just chimpanzees understand the concept of fairness.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know when they're getting screwed. So, I mean, it goes back to our reptilian brain.
Yep. No, you're right, Dominic. But if you want to just go ahead there, like I say, I'm just going to try to get caught up here real quick, because I got a few things I'm trying to look through here. Okay, AJ. Yeah, I sent the link. That's good to go.
On the topic of pot and the issue there.
Oh, marijuana?
Yeah. I don't care. I personally think that it was too expensive for me, but I also am not a big fan of alcohol. So that's just my preference. I believe that drugs in general should not be prohibited, because it causes the issue that we saw with the prohibition of alcohol, and now we have a black market. I believe it's Portugal legalized drugs in general, and they saw a drop in use. Obviously, they saw a drop in criminalization of drug use because it's not illegal anymore. So it's kind of like give and take there on that one.
Yeah.
The overall just abuse of it, and the medical cases that they had to take upon it, the deaths caused by it, it all ended up happening. And on cordite, Some people may not know this, but if especially in a tank, when rounds go off and you get this fart that just smells awful from breathing in all the burnt cordite. It is just awful. It's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's pure sulfur.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, got a little bit of sulfur smell to it, doesn't it? Yeah, kind of like some of that water.
It's all sulfur.
Yeah. Kind of like living in Chipman. He's a New Brunswicker, so he understands this stuff. But anyways, I just wanted to
compare it to some of the runoff from the Canes and the Florenceville area.
yeah. No, I hear you, Dominic. But I just want to point out, Point Fire said to you, Dominic Gay, or Guay, right?
Yeah.
Gay,
Gay, yes.
Yeah, okay.
English, French, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so which regiment were you posted with?
Oh, yes. So my last posting was with the Fort Garry Horse. They're a reservist unit out of Winnipeg, Manitoba. They used to be a regular force unit back in World War I, World War II, and there's a whole bunch of hoopla that happened with that. But in the end, had concerns with how the current, should I say this, standards were going, and if including with what was happening, and I was having my first set of kids and all that jazz, it made more sense for me to leave. And but should things change, it's not like I hate the military or anything like that. If I saw a good improvement and I had nothing better to do, then I would definitely re-enlist.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, what a military properly represents, in its proper sense, in its proper ethical sense, is to defend the people and the ideas that the people that particular geographical landmass. That's where you're defending at the end of the day. It's not authoritarianism where you're defending government. No, you're defending ideas, and the ideas of the West, and predominantly in Canada and the U.S., is free market fundamentals. We're supposed to be predominantly about promoting freedom and allowing that to happen, and that's what and that's why, like I say, I have lots of friends that come from the military, and they say the same thing as me. It's like, they didn't even care about intervening or being. Not whether you're talking about Kosovo in the 90s. I mean, I got guys that are friends because, I'm an older guy, right? So we're not even necessarily talking about Afghanistan or anything. We're talking even going
Croatia, Bosnia.
Yeah, exactly. And some of them were like, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I was probably think I was doing a good thing, but there's other times where it's like, I think I was just part of a bureaucracy that was, fucking causing me to cause hardship to people that, I don't know if they were necessarily bad. Once again, it's politics at the end of the day, right? So it is hard. That's the problem. And I think that's why the U.S., they were wise, the founding fathers, why they didn't set up a standing army. They set up a militia. So you didn't have the pretense of foreign interventionism, but you did have a pretense of, this is your spot, defend it. If you want to have the freedom that we're espousing, or that we're promoting, that we're trying to establish, the only way that's ever going to exist and it's ever going to flourish and continue is you have to defend it. That, to me, that's what the military should truly stand for. And that's the kind of military that I support is, yes, defend our borders, defend Canada, but some of these foreign interventionist policies, like I say, a lot of that stuff has been done through cronyism and corporatism. And, I'm not a big fan of that, because I know a lot of our military men and women have gone through some hardships. A lot of them were killed or maybe walking around on one leg or with a crutch or in a wheelchair or basically just a quadriplegic, because they were defending nothing that they thought was proper, but they joined up in the military. And because you did, well, now you have to follow the orders of your men. I don't like that premise. I've never liked that premise. That's always been my issue, which is why I have kind of a love-hate relationship with some of the military men, because some of them understand it. And the military men that understand it mostly, and I've understood this for a long time, is those are the ones that come from a Christian background. They have the idealism of just defending freedom. But some of them look at it as a pursuit of power, right? Those people, I'm very fearful, and I don't really care for those types. It's like, I just want to impose my way of life on the rest. I don't like that. But if you just want to defend the ideals of what the West was built upon, I'm with you 100%. Matter of fact, I'll stand on the front line with you, whether I got to, whether I'm dressed in a full military gear or in my casual clothes. I'll die either way, defending the freedoms that the West represents. But
so a reoccurring dream that I always have is this type of interventionism, and me sitting in that House of Commons holding a filled application for the military, and me looking at all the MPs in there saying, if you're prepared to send our men and women out to intervene in this conflict, then every single one of you should have this form filled and ready to be signed on the day that we vote to do this. Otherwise, you are all cowards. And just slam it down. And it's a reoccurring dream for me that this is something that should it ever happen, that my subconscious is telling me, like, this is the only way that you should be responding to this.
Yeah. No, go ahead. No, go ahead, man.
Yeah. Just to close it off, I can't think of myself holding principles at all if I'm willing to send someone's child out to die in the middle of nowhere when I'm fighting age and I have children myself. I can't see any principled way of sitting in that bench seat and saying, yeah, it's fine that they're off there while I'm sitting here collecting $180,000 check.
Yeah. I hear you, man. And it's not an easy thing, like you say. Well, I just want to say that AJ is in the chat. AJ, you want to step in there, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Not bad.
We're doing great. And actually, before you do get in, and I'll give you just a second there to respond there, Dominic, is Trish Farron. God, Dominic, you even think like my kid. Anyways, so they're actually, but you know what? Like I say, I'm very much appreciative of you, because those are the kind of people in the military that, like, people like yourself. And like I said, I've got lots of friends that think the same way as you. And I love each and every one of you, because you have the right concept of what it is to defend your freedoms. And AJ, like I say, he's someone else that's been doing a good job as far as like talking about these things. Hey, did you actually get Frederick? I just want to ask AJ, because I told Frederick I joined him on a chat one day, and we haven't done so far, unfortunately. But
yeah. I messaged him just now. I said, hey, Libertarians doing a live stream. Now's your chance.
Nice. Yeah, because I love to bring him in the chat. He seems like a fairly smart and articulate guy. So like I say, I'm always willing to engage in conversation.
He's an idiot.
What?
He's an idiot.
Poisoning the well. Oh,
but no, I'm kidding.
No, I know. AJ does that anyways. Yeah,
he's cool.
Yeah,
right now I don't have my camera on right now because I was working with pitch at work on roofing, right? And it's like some old material.
Yeah,
I got it in my eyes.
Hey, I was actually talking to my wife AJ, and I was like, God damn it, too bad AJ's all the way out in Manitoba. Yeah. I was saying to my wife, it's too bad AJ's all the way, because you're in Manitoba, right?
Yeah, Winnipeg.
Or yeah,
oh, well,
I was like, fuck, I wish AJ was on the East Coast, because I had to hire a company on like, I'm in Ontario right now, but I had to get the roof fixed on my house because my son that's living in it right now, and it was like, it's an older home, and the freaking thing started leaking shit, and it was like $6,800 or whatever. It was an expensive proposition, and of course I was like, I didn't think I'd have to get a loan again. I thought we were doing good, but I had to do it anyways. But I was like, AJ's a roofer guy. I bet he could have done a great job. I'd rather send my money to AJ, actually, because I'm sure he would have benefited tremendously. I would have bought you actually a couple
roof, shingle or flat.
Yeah.
I don't do shingling. That's
you don't do
shinglers.
Yeah, what's that? Sorry, buddy.
They're not real roofers.
Oh, okay. So you're a steel guy? Is that what you're saying?
No. Like, fuck it. I don't do steel roofing, but like any idiot can shingle is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not easy. It's not easy work.
Okay, well, I gotta yield to you. But this is an area where I gotta yield to your authority. I'm not a roofing guy, so you gotta explain this to me. Right?
It's like, anybody can read the package on the shingling thing, right? It's like, here, you hammer it like this. There you go. Right? Whereas flat roofing is a little more complex, a little different.
I see. Okay, so you use the asphalt coating and all that stuff on.
I don't do asphalt, right? But we do different. I've done it.
So more commercial stuff.
It's more commercial. Like
Gotcha.
I was working on a bank, and then we were ripping the roof right down
Right.
to the bottom, and then they use this old product which is called like pitch, right? And they don't use it anymore because it's like super cancerous and will like kill you. But in the sun and stuff, it reacts over time. So after I woke up today, my eyes were all just like puffy and shit. I was like, oh man, like yeah, I can't even go to work today. So I was like, screw that.
Well, listen, now that I got you here, I'm just going to purge your mind a little bit with some information if you know, but I'm just curious, but you've done shingling, right? So you have experience in the shingling aspect in roofing, right? Do you or do you not?
No, I've never even done shingling. I just do. I've done straight
because actually
roofing and shit.
Well, maybe Dominic or somebody in the chat even, because what it is the guy that I went through, I was hoping to go with actually metal roof because of the way my roof is. It has a really steep peak. And
right.
it would have been better to go with metal so that the snow would be able to slide off easier. But that's the thing, because it's a 2-story home. Well, it's actually one of those old 1.5 stories that,
Okay, yeah, right.
But it's really steep, and then it ends up all piling up on the bottom portions of your roof. But tin would have actually been much better to allow that all to slide off. But I was amazed at holy crap, it was like $11,000 for. I was like, holy shit! But Buddy said apparently these new shingles, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm just relying on him. I did a little bit of research, mind you, but he said they're 40 years.
Yeah.
At minimum, even the 40. Well, they call them lifetime. Although he said technically, even though they call them lifetime, it's genuinely 40 years. But even these,
just like how a transmission is a lifetime.
Right. But he basically told me that you're guaranteed easily with these new shingles and the way they do it. And rather than using the old style underlay, they use this new poly type of material they use for a barrier for vapor and all. And he said, actually, it's not a problem. Actually, you get 30 plus years. So, I mean, 30 years. I'll be
guaranteed if it's installed right. Keep that in mind. Because
well, he gave me 7. He was in insurance. He had insurance. He gives me 7 years on the list. Seems like he's a pretty credible guy.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if I can get 30 years even,
well,
the metal would have been obviously much longer lasting, but by the time I get like 80, 90 years old, I mean, how overly concerned.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Now, so
I'm not going to worry about it too much when I'm 50 under. So.
Like my dad has a metal roof on his house, and it works just fine. But I don't see why shingling would be an issue for you. Like you said, 30, 40 years, that's good enough. And if it's cheaper, I would go with the shingling, and the new types of shingling, like you said, are a lot better. They are better.
That's what it seemed to be. But once again, I had to rely on Buddy. But of course, I did my homework and had a lot of quotes from different people and stuff.
Right.
But it seemed like to me is like.
And if you can get the shingles for cheap, you never know if you can find shingles from secondhand from somebody.
Yeah. That part drives me nuts because I've been in construction in Toronto in the GTA region, I guess on the east side of things. I was like, if I could have had even a train to send them down there, I could have.
I know, right?
My house fucking 50 times.
I know.
The stuff these guys have thrown in the garbage.
Yeah, people throw money away.
And you know what? Unless you're in that trade, but AJ's in there. But unless you're in the trade, you don't have any clue how much of our shit gets wasted. It's insane.
Well, today, like the roof they were working on, we ripped all this insulation, right? And it was like this blue, long insulation. It's like 3 inches thick. And the guy, before we're like, let's try to save as much of it as we can because he's just going to save it. And then his dad came by, picked it up because they were just going to throw it out anyways. So he saved a lot of it. And people will buy that shit secondhand, even with tar on it, some tar stuck onto it for like $6 a sheet. You get like a couple hundred sheets, $6.
Yeah.
And you're ripping it up anyways.
Well,
metal, all that shit.
Well, that actually goes back to and if Dominic wants to enter into this too and offer your own observation on that, that's a problem with not having a proper fundamental aspect as far as economics is there's so much waste. The productivity of all these people
regulation.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's no reason that a charity or a food bank should be worried about getting sued because they received free food that was going to get tossed anyways, and someone ate it and then they got sick. They free. If you're literally getting a free lunch, there should be no position in which you can complain about that free lunch when it backfires. So,
Well, it's the incorporation of the healthcare system as well, right? Because they're like, well, we're paying for it because we have a free healthcare system. So, if you make people sick, then you're costing us money, yada yada yada. But if it wasn't not connected to that, and was more of a free market system, then there'd be no argument a lot of the times for this nanny state in which they, say, oh, well, you can't do this, you can't sell to this, where you can't give free food to people because they, might sue, or, people in America, it's really bad. They slip and fall and then sue you and all this shit, right? Get everything from you. But, because that's true. Like, people will utilize the system as well to sue you for any stupid little reason.
Yeah.
So, they have to protect themselves, but that's just the society we're in right now.
One of the things we have is, and in the vein of healthcare, is the idea of the Good Samaritan law. Why isn't there a Good Samaritan law for those food banks, for those charities that are providing that service? Because as long as you're providing that service free, like I have my first aid, and AED on a military level, but I still have it. But as long as I'm not charging the person that I'm caring for, they can't sue me. Unless I was extremely negligent. And so, a food bank takes that moldy sandwich and say, good enough here, and someone gets sick from that, but that's obvious negligence, and that's something that can be proven, and that becomes the issue.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Yeah, to see the amount.
In essence, yes, that's a good summarization of a lot of the things in Canada and the world as a whole.
Right. I'm just curious, though, that you're saying you're from Winnipeg. Are you from Winnipeg?
So, long story. So I'll go through it, and I've told Bennett the story. So I was born in New Maryland, in Chalmers in Fredericton, and lived 3 years of my childhood in New Maryland, New Brunswick. And my father was in the military. Before that, he left. He ended up becoming air traffic controller, and one of the positions he got was at St. Andrews Airport. So St. Andrews, the nearest city, is Winnipeg, Manitoba. So we moved there. So I went to school there. I lived there up until the point that I joined the military, and then I bounced around all over the country and ended up the last of my military career in Gagetown. Sorry?
Vous parlez français?
Le problème est que
Pas vraiment.
j'utilisais pas pour c'était comme 15 ans, mais ma famille qui vient de juste France, parce que mon Pierre est
I'm related to a bunch of gays,
qui est une personne 10e génération dans Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know a bunch of gays and stuff like that from my hometown, like Saint Lazare and whatnot, and there's a bunch of Desrochers, Deschambault, all the people, right? But I was just like, oh, okay, but sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so my French written went out the window like a long time ago, but I've noticed that should I ever actually go into confrontation where I have to speak French or whatever, it starts to come back. And especially when I was in Gagetown, there's a lot of people from Trois-Rivières qui parlent en français. Et c'est prendre le chance de parler avec des personnes qui est à propos Trois-Rivières.
Oh yeah, my French is shit too, man. Don't worry.
Yeah,
a lot of it.
I only need it to be as good as the Acadians in Grand Falls. That's all I
exactly. But I can fully understand it. But yeah, I know the same thing. Like, especially living in Manitoba, you lose it because everybody's speaks English. Yeah, right. A bunch of English bastards. Not kidding.
Yeah.
Joking.
The little area I used to live in was Osborne Street area near the downtown.
Ah, really? Osborne? Yeah. Nice. Yeah. A lot of hot chicks on Osborne. I love that place.
I was
walk down there.
River Heights area type person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? Can I just offer in my own personal anecdotal thing?
Yeah.
French English thing here, just to offer, like I say, it's funny that you guys are talking about this stuff because when I was going to school in Toronto, in the earlier years, because I was mostly born and raised in that central part of New Brunswick, and that's one thing we all recognize is New Brunswick's very segregated as far as the languages. The French-speaking communities are predominantly in the outer skirts around the perimeter, predominantly, not saying there isn't, and then mostly the English are in the inner part, the central core of it, right? But one thing I understood growing up, and even when I moved to Toronto and started going to school in Scarborough, which is like so far removed from the French community, but the reason why I kind of started to learn a little bit of French even as a kid, now I've gotten away from it now because I'm so far removed from it. But
Because we're great.
Well, no, but the teacher, my French teacher in grade 7 and 8, because when I moved to Toronto, I was 11 going on 12. So I was just, I missed grade 6. So my next year I went into grade 7. And I did 7 and 8 and the French, but the French teacher that I had in that whole, the rest of the classes was like, I was like, oh, I skipped. But the French teacher, she was such a great teacher. And so I actually, believe it or not, I wouldn't even try to pretend or suggest that I'm very good at it now because it's been so long. I'm so far removed. But I actually adopted the French language, the il, elle, nous, vous, je, tu, and all that. I learned because she made it like that's the thing with teachers. If you're trying to teach or educate someone, at least make it so that it's not just informative, but somewhat engaging as well. Because if you
practical.
Yeah. And if you can get the students involved properly, then that's the best way to teach them. And she did such an amazing job. And at that year, actually, most of my teachers, I wasn't really good with school per se. I mean, I was smart and they all said that, but they would always say, well, you're too smart to not be doing these things. I just didn't like the way the whole system was set up. But like I say, in that particular structured environment, the ones that were conducive with the more freedom as far as learning is like, I love those people. And they were like, they would pull me in. It's like, well, why is it that you seem to get along with this French? You don't even care about. Well, because she's doing a good fucking job as far as teaching me, right? So at the end of the day, is we have the ability that we can teach people if you do it in a properly conducive manner. And even if it's something that's not necessarily something that's inspiring to you, but like I say, I've had access to, it's probably been over the course of my education over the entire of my life, maybe 5 or 6 people. But I'm very appreciative of those 5 or 6 teachers in comparison, in contrast to the maybe hundreds of others that didn't do shit other than repeat and regurgitate, some kind of stupid shit out of a fucking textbook, right? The people that actually tried to properly educate and inform me, to this day, I carry that rate with me. And it's like, I appreciate those people for everything they did, because those are the ones that contributed to my ability to think critically about these issues. And it has nothing to do necessarily in language, but she taught me that this is the proper way to learn things. And that's to me, that's a proper education. And that's what we should be doing for our younger people today, is rather than giving them, instant disposal to teachers that are just trying to get a paycheck, is let's give them access to, we live in the age of information. Why the fuck would you ever want to send your kids to a school where maybe that teacher that's teaching them is like at the lower 10 percentile of what it is to be a teacher? I want my kids, I would want my kids to learn from people that are at the best of their game in their particular fields of study. And in the information age, we can have that. We don't have to sit them in a classroom with 30 people. You can teach that woman, just like Jordan Peterson. He's basically trying to create nowadays. And at some point in time, this is going to happen. We already have the Khan Academy. We all have lots of areas where you can get some intellectual endeavors and studies. But if we can create an area where we can challenge government institutions as far as education and give kids an option and an alternative to be properly educated, where they're actually thinking critically and not just being indoctrinated into, let's just be good little serfs, slaves, or subjects to the ruling class, because that's basically our education system. In case you're not familiar with it, it's all adopted based on the Prussian model, which is post-industrial era where it's just teaching to be good little workers. And I mean, it's working. I get it. And actually, we have been good little productive bees, right? It's just like the bees or the ants. Look at how productive they are. But they're never going to inspire anything. So it's
they're never going to innovate.
Just create an army of bees or ants. We want to inspire intellectual vigor, right? Is that not what we should be doing as human beings? We should hold ourselves to a standard that's more than just bees or ants.
Well, like I mentioned, you're never going to innovate that way. And I was... my fiance, her mother is a teacher, And one of the conversations we had is our education system. And obviously, I'm not going to be able to affect anything on that. That's a provincial issue. So,
Yeah, no, I get you, buddy.
disclaimer: I can't fix anything where I'm going.
No worries.
So, but the issue is we're not giving people the tools to think for themselves. We're giving people the tools.
We're sending them to church.
No, not even giving them tools. We are just saying, this is reality. This is what you have to do in this reality. That's it. Not, hey, these are the tools that we use to perceive reality. These have given us these innovations. If you use these tools here, you'll be able to expand your perception of reality. And that's what the humanities used to do. And that's what gave us these thought experiments and, well, I mean, to put it bluntly, all that jazz. We would have never gotten to where we are right now if it wasn't for those tools. Our IQ spiked because of these tools, because we were able to answer and ask abstract ideas that didn't even pertain to our reality.
Oh,
it's unfortunate.
In the chat. Sorry. No, go ahead, man. I was just saying hi.
So,
hi, Nancy.
One of the things, and on the note of helping facilitate different teaching styles, I would like to see provincial governments push towards a voucher system. If the province is going to be in there to give that money, why don't we just take that sum that we give to each child, provide it as a voucher to the parent, and the parent gets to decide where that voucher goes.
Right.
One of the issues, there was this really good polytechnic high school in Winnipeg. What's it called? Oh,
ATC?
Yes. It's in the south end of.
Yeah, it's on off of Waverly or not. I can't remember.
Yes. Yes. It's off of Waverly. No.
ATC.
Anyways, so I went to Kelvin. So I would have. Kelvin is like, because there's Churchill. Churchill's really artsy in that way. Right. Kelvin ends up being this kind of divide between this Polytechnic school and Churchill. And the Polytechnic is, if you want to go into any trades or anything like that, like that's the go-to. You should go to that high school. But the school division works on a Ketchum. So you're screwed if you don't live in the right area and you'd rather go to that school that hyper focuses in one certain area. I don't care about the arts. It was never something I was interested in. So for me to go to Kelvin or Churchill, it didn't really make sense for me. But I coasted along. I passed. Yada. I have high school education. Don't have much to show for it.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys who went into welding and stuff through that. You know, they get an early start when they're 16. Exactly. And a lot of places they don't have that, and I didn't even know that. I was like that other places like what in Winnipeg, this is like one of the only places they do that, I guess, or what?
Well, it's just how these schools decided to, I guess, specialize. They kind of did their own little specialization thing, and because of that, they ended up offering different. Because there's options within the school programs, so the school can offer its own options because it is supported by whatever whatever property taxes. So they say, well, we want these options in our school, and people can take these options, and now they're good to go. Each high school in the city has its own particular programs that you can't get at another school. So unfortunately, due to that, there was that issue of, I would have loved to go to that high school and gotten those options, but because Kelvin was my Ketchum, I'm stuck going there. So it ends up being this government enforced education, and I can't. So it's something I would like to see the provinces do. Go, okay, well, we offer $7,000, blah, blah, blah. So whatever charter school can open up and say, hey, we offer these courses and it fits within the curriculum, you're good to go. And I go and take my voucher for my child and say, well, I want my child to learn there because I feel like they will get the best education there. And even then, it would, because a huge issue even then is now we have to put these little specialty like schools within the school that has to deal with the people with learning disabilities. Why not just have a school that is entirely based on that thing instead of having
a good idea.
our education system? That school, that charter school builds up and says, we have every teacher here is specially trained to deal with people with learning disabilities, and that's their entire job. So when you know that your kid is going there, they have someone that knows what they're doing instead of someone that sits there used to teaching the kid that sits up straight, writes down, and doesn't start making noise or running around or anything like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't have that option with the system that we have in place right now.
I just want to say, when it comes to that takes me back to an old meme that's fucking many years in the past that I remember seeing is, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
It's stupid. Like, we can't all to pretend that we all function in a realm where we're just going to learn at the same speed, at the same. You just can't. That's, to me, that's why I love competitiveness. Or it is competitive. That's the thing. When some people hear competitiveness, they think of it as a cutthroat thing. But no, competition. Every time I've ever seen competition as far as an endeavor, every experience that I've ever acknowledged, it has been the base premise of it is to elevate us, right? It's not to bring us down at any level. It's to elevate us. So to me, competition is to try to elevate people. It's not to race down to a common denominator at some low level. It's to inspire creativity, innovation, and stuff. So competition is a good thing. So if some people, like you say, when I was growing up, it would probably have been much more conducive. Actually, I think I would have been able to produce a whole lot more in society if I wasn't inundated with this kind of top-down, mindless bullshit that I was taught, where you just sit down, you just listen to it. If they had taught me more entrepreneurial aspects of free markets and what you can produce, like I said, if those things had been properly articulated in the education system, as far as when you're talking about economics, at least, I think I would have been a much more. Now, I had to learn all that subsequently. So everything that I've learned today, and I have to say this is just an honest reflection of reality. Most of the knowledge that roams around in my brain today, I didn't learn through the education process. There's some, I'm not going to say none. I'm going to leave a little bit area there where there were some great teachers that, like I say, planted those seeds. And I'm very grateful for those people. I really am. But they were such a small minority of those were part and parcel of the teachers that I grew up, because they were taught to promote a particular curriculum, right? To me, the free market is, some people are probably more conducive with just maybe being, someone that's part of the division of labor and just need to fill up some area of that, right?
I want to interrupt you there, but Frederick,
always go ahead.
Frederick's in the chat if you want to send him in.
Yeah,
I don't know where.
Bring Frederick in for sure. So let me just say real quick, because I did see Nancy earlier on, and Dominic. Well, Nancy. She's in PTC, of course. Another NB candidate, and I love it. Nancy, man, she's an awesome lady. She shares my stuff. I share her stuff all the time, and she's a great representative voice on there. But I just wanted to check real quick what she was saying here. Shit, now I got to scroll back up. I was trying to stay okay. PM is a few days during it.
Yeah, I like what's going on, how a lot of Canadians are interviewing all these different PPC candidates and stuff.
Well, I love doing these type, and it's not even an interview as much as it's just a nice, calm, relaxed conversation. And I reach out to everyone that's a Canadian YouTuber, no matter where their political leanings are. I wouldn't consider. I've already mentioned it before. I wouldn't consider myself a libertarian. But I still, there's a lot of things that we can, like Max says, we need to find the part where we unify instead of the part where we divide. And as long as I can come here and talk respectfully, and I can get that same respect back, there's no reason not to do this. If anything, I might learn something. If anything, I might teach somebody something out there themselves.
Yeah, well, I could say even myself at 40 years old, there's most of my life, actually, I never considered myself a libertarian. I didn't know, actually, predominantly, if you had asked me 20 years ago, I would have said, I guess I would identify as like liberal, but in the classical sense.
Yes.
So kind of more closely aligned, I guess. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, to me, that's why politics kind of degrades the philosophical aspect. To me, it's what's more conducive with creating freedom. That's all I care about at the end of the day is give people freedom. But at the same time, freedom, there's a double entendre when you talk about freedom, which is freedom is basically part and parcel with responsibility. You don't get freedoms without responsibility. Because if you just give someone a freedom and you're taking care of them all the time, well, what kind of freedom do they actually attain? None. They haven't actually attained freedom. So you have to understand what freedom even means, what liberty even means. If you're talking about liberty, it means you have to talk about not just freedom, but responsibility. And at the end of the day, I think the best people, whether they're young, middle-aged, or old, the best people that we can surround ourselves with are the ones that accept and adopt the understanding that it's best for them to be free from forced subjugation. They're going to be a better person. They're going to interact with me as a much better person if they're free in some way. I'm not saying they're all going to be that way. There's always going to be the exception to the rule. There's always going to be the outliers. That's never going to change no matter what you do or what stance you take politically or philosophically. But the very least is let's give people a good formulation to say this is a good basis for interacting with people socially or economically. Not doesn't mean it's going to work out every time, 100% of the time. But if you use this as the basis for your economic or social engagements, 99% of the time, or whatever you want to use as a number, it'll work out beneficial for both people on either side of that equation. That's all I really care about at the end of the day. But like I said, I just want to respond to Nancy because she brought this up, and it's like I just want to bring it here today because I didn't talk about it earlier. She donated for my benefit as a candidate. Sorry, Nancy. Love you, girl, but I'm not going to be a candidate because unfortunately, it was a little bit weird how it all played out, but I'm not going to get into controversial. I'm not going to try to stir up any controversy within the PPC. But anyways, the guy is in my riding. There was no one filling it so far, but apparently now there is someone that's going to fill that riding. I did have, what was his name? Actually, maybe I shouldn't drop the name. Anyways, but someone I did have in contact with PPC that said there are a couple other ridings, Restigouche and
Acadia Bathurst.
Yeah, Acadia Bathurst. So there are a couple other ridings that I could have gone into, I guess were another option, but I would feel really weird going into a place that I have no basis. I'd like to say at the end of the day, it's like, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for offering me that option. But if it wasn't in a riding where I actually think that the people that know me, right, that probably would have at least, I don't want to step, I would feel weird going into a riding that I have no relationship with most people there. And a lot of them are predominantly maybe French and don't have any, I don't even have any. It's like, they would probably feel weird and I would feel weird. So I'm not going to be in the riding. So I guess maybe this is the video that say that it's okay. It's okay. Apparently the riding that I was going to run for has already been filled. It was a bit weird how it all played out because I watched it all the way up till literally, when I submitted and I made that phone call to the PPC and said that, okay, I'm going to try it. There was nothing there. And then it was only 2 days later that all of a sudden there is something. So I like to say, I don't know how it all played out. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm not going to be a candidate, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to talk back. Right. I still, at the end of the day, like I say, whether I'm sitting on the sidelines, I'm cool with that. As long as, like I say, at the end of the day, if we can promote proper philosophical or principled position in regards to what it is to be a free human being, whether I'm involved in the political process, that's not the end all be all. To me, I'd be much as just as happy to support Dominic or Nancy and all what they're doing and providing and sharing their content on social media as just go out and being a politician and going around. It's good either way. I get it. You're all just getting a message out there, but no, I'm not. I'm not. And because I don't want to even just to go into the political realm. Well, what it is me and my wife, because I had to put a roof on the house, we're probably going to have to go back there and do a whole lot of work. I was like, well, how about I just go back there for a while? And if I'm going to go back there for a while, and I'm going to be there anyways, I thought maybe I could get, but if that's not going to play out the way I was hoping, which of course it's kind of part of my fault anyways, I was a little bit late to the game, right? It's not like I jumped into it early on. So if it's not going to play out that way, that's fine. Like I say, no bad mouthing. No, I'm not going to say anything bad about the BBC, but I will say it's not going to happen. And I will even admit this, it's a little weird for some of you people, but for me, it's almost a little bit of a whoosh. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan to go into politics regardless, but I was always willing to delve into the fray. If I could do anything, because at the end of the day, all I care about to my core is just doing what's right. And whether I do it in my video platforms and my social media pages, or actually delve into the realm of politics, whatever I can contribute to at least create more freedom for the Canadian people, I was willing to do that. But so just to let you know, not going to be through the political process apparently, but I'm still going to be out there advocating for you, Nancy, you, Dominic, and anyone else that's a representative of the PBC, because I still have a firm commitment of support by sheer fact that we're all challenging the status quo, and we're willing to, treat Canadians as adults. That's one thing I'll say about the PBC is they're willing to treat the Canadian populace as adults and let them participate in the political process as adults, where they're not just beholden to a stance and plugging their nose and picking the lesser evils. They're actually saying, here's a principled position you can take it if you want it. And like I said, I'm willing to adopt and support those people that are doing so, even though I'm not necessarily one of those people that are going to be standing on the big stage. I don't care. I'm fine standing in the back. I don't care if the spotlight is ever shined upon me, as long as I can contribute in some way and help in making this country a more free place.
Right. And that's the thing too, is what I was thinking earlier, is that we don't have to agree necessarily on everything, because right now we're moving towards, authoritarianism, this far leftism and stuff. So
yeah,
some of us can be conservative, some of us can be libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, whatever else. But if we all agree on some main priorities,
like what's in the debate. Sorry, man, I just seen this. Fuck, how long ago was this? Sorry, AJ, buddy, but I just, because I'm a little slow on this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that wasn't long ago. Keep going. I'm gonna bring Frederick in though.
We don't need to agree on everything, right? We need to, if we agree on the basics at the very least at this very moment, then we can debate about stuff later when we're in a better position. You know what I mean? It's stupid to argue with people who agree with you on 70 to 80 to 90% of things when the other people against you don't agree with you about anything. So it's like, hey, do you like free speech? Do you actually believe in it?
Yeah.
I do too. Good. Do you not dislike mass immigration? Yes. Okay. I do too. Right. There's a few things that are kind of key positions that I think that, but I think first and foremost, free speech is really important, because if people really do believe in that, then at least they're willing to have a conversation and not demonize you for going on. And I just want to address Frederick talking about the pay to play thing.
Hey, real quick though, how do I get a hold of Frederick? I don't know if I'm not even sure. Have we interacted already? Is it on Twitter maybe? Because I'm trying to look for a way to send him the link, and I'm not 100% sure.
I think he is on Twitter.
Okay,
so if you can, I don't know, Frederick.
Messing you up in the middle of your.
Oh yeah, I was gonna address something he was gonna say anyways, but Frederick, give your Twitter link or something.
That might have been on. It might have been on Twitter, like you say. Yeah. Let me check.
That, or potentially, I can maybe try sending it to him. If I can just copy the link that you sent me.
Yeah, you can send that if you want, because I'm trying to look for him here. I know we've actually interacted, so I know I must have.
He said it's pay to play. The Sarah Jiang is his recent candidate in his area. I'm like, that's not pay to play. like I think you're misusing that term, right? Because she would have to be like in politics or able to give something. An MP, she's not going to have much power, so it's more like, I need money for my riding, so I can buy signs, petition things, because money. People, I think they don't understand that it costs money to do things. It costs money to buy signs. It costs money to buy ads, to do this shit. It's not free. Something that people on the left and whatever you want to say, they have is that we don't have is money. A lot of people backing them, like millionaires, billionaires, activists, all this shit, just throwing money at them and giving a couple dollars to a candidate or something, or going to a dinner that obviously you're not going to get too much for, but it's obviously for their candidates. It's not necessarily pay to play. It's like, hey, I guess it could be, I don't know. It's just like if she had more power, but MP, they can't do too much to begin with. But I sent him the link in Telegram. So check your Telegram. Oh, there he is.
Is he popping in right on? I was just looking real quick. Nancy said, but I'm not sure if she's referencing me or you or anyone else in the chat, but she said that she hasn't been able to see someone's videos for the last 3 weeks, which is weird because if she's talking to me, if you already, and I know she gets my videos regularly. That's the thing with YouTube. There's been a lot of things that have changed in there. But one thing I will say, and I've had to even do that myself, this goes back to the old personal responsibility thing, is go back in for anyone that, especially if it's someone that you really care about as far as the content they create, go back in and not just make sure that you've subscribed, that you've checked that damn bell. And like, because if you don't get that bell rung, and even when you ring the bell, it'll give you the option of some posts, like limited videos or all notifications. So if you're someone that's really, really wanting to hear from people like myself, then click the all, and that way you'll get notifications of my videos. Or if you're not, at the very least, I will say this first and foremost, is if you go to my actual YouTube channel, you'll see it. So even if you don't get the notification, just type in Canadian Libertarian, or if you're subscribed to it, click on that and you'll see that, well, there's videos that I've already produced. Because I know that the YouTube algorithm definitely does have an effect as far as how much gets promoted. Because about a year ago, actually, I had a lot more promotion. I would get my videos out there that were tens of thousands of views. Now, I don't get those anymore. Thousands, yes. I'm kind of getting back. It's like the algorithm's kind of allowing me a little bit back into it a little bit.
Giving you that rope a little bit.
Yeah. It's like I'm getting it back a little bit. So like I'm not trying to rock the boat too hardcore, and I'm even trying to not swear too much. I'm still trying to be, although that's at the same time, it's like, why should I have to correct it?
He's in the waiting room, apparently, just to let you know.
Okay. So, yeah, because it's only 3 right now. So I've never done the 4 with this.
It all falls apart.
yeah, I know, right? But actually, right now it's turned out pretty damn good. Don't you think? It's like we're all getting.
Well, Frederick's mic sucks too, so we'll see.
Well, so on the issue of pay to play, something I would say is more pay to play is something like the Conservatives, when you have to put in $1,000 before you can even run as a candidate. Just to run in the nomination race to become a candidate for your riding, you have to give $1,000 to the party as a damage deposit. It's a way for them to pay for any stupid thing that you might say while you're trying to run for them up until after the election occurs. So that would be a great way of explaining a pay to play.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it's like Hillary Clinton or Trudeau necessarily, where they're becoming or potentially going to become the prime minister or president with a lot of stuff to grant people, right? Then it's like, obviously, that can be an issue. But once again, like I said, things cost money. You need to raise money to campaign, to do things.
Yes.
And things are not free. So, people can either give a little bit of money or not, but don't be surprised if the candidates or whoever get no traction whatsoever, right? It's just, your support is nice and shit like that too. But like I said, if people take hours out of their day to do other things, like kind of activist stuff, going door to door, all this shit, like that's money, that's time they could spend doing other things, So that's something that people need to understand. And not everybody, and I don't even recommend everybody to necessarily come out with their face and name and shit. Like sometimes, I think to some people, yes, but the way things are going right now, it's almost like even having basic ideas or about immigration one day be like, like, oh, this person's talking about wanting less immigration, he must be a Nazi. Now they'll put you on a list or something like that. But, at the very least, the people who are out there and putting their face out, potentially being victims, look at Rance Derrick, Kelly Day. They made like an article, the Anti-Hate Network, I think, wrote an article about them or something, right?
started on anti-hate.
Right.
The biggest oxymoron. Well, you saw my tweet there, Bennett.
Yeah.
Like, the first time I saw them, it was I believe it was regarding the NCA, another party where you have to pay to play. It's a $75 membership if you want to become a candidate. So I paid $0.00 to become a candidate. And I told them I was going to pay $0.00 of my own money towards running for this.
Nice.
So in the end, the PPC knew what they were getting for me running in Topic-Matiquac, and they went, well, you like our values, that's good enough for us. Cool. There.
Nice,
You're in
right?
Topic-Matiquac. So I can't think of any party in Canada, even the ones even smaller than us, that are not offering that, going, do you care about our values? Yes? Cool. You haven't been a dirtbag in the past whatever years? Cool. We want you to run for us because you are a Canadian.
Yeah.
You are clearly here to support these values because you believe that they're going to be healthy for the district that you're running in. And I'm getting so many people contacting me out of their own volition to interview me. Some people know about CCN with Fred. I got to meet him a couple of times to do a couple of interviews. Unfortunately, the first one we did, the audio on his end was a little screwed up, but we went and did another face-to-face interview at a later date, and that one went great. So I didn't know I had a YouTuber in my specific riding that was willing to interview me, and I thought that was cool. And now I'm getting people, like there was someone that ran for the Green Party for New Brunswick that is setting up a big round table for all the candidates to come down to talk to small businesses.
Nice.
So in the end, a lot of people want to hear what we have to say. And as long as I go in there, don't make myself look like a fool and just regurgitate the whole plan for the PPC, I'm going to be gangbusters.
Hey, can I just say one thing before we bring Frederick in? Because Frederick,
I'm in, guys. I'm in.
Yeah, thanks, Frederick. Thanks for joining us in the chat there, buddy.
No, thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, my friend. But I just wanted to point out right now, when it comes to the
your audio
action is, and I'm cool with it. I'm totally cool with it. Like I say, I've been, as a libertarian, I've learned to live on the outside my whole life. So totally get it. I'm not part of any collective or group, right? But I have noticed, which, like I say, this isn't an accusation, but I have noticed this. I can't help because I'm a very, like I say, astute, observable person and like I say, nothing negative, but is it that you have to be part of the government in the past in some way, right? Because I've literally my whole life, I've gone my whole entire 48 years, never had nothing to do with the government, never worked for the government in any capacity in any way. But a lot of the candidates, like I said, I don't care if you combat it from the military. There's a huge amount of them. I've never sat down. Maybe I should actually sit down and go through them all. All right, maybe that would be a scary proposition. It might be offer a lot of revelations. It might be disturbing, but I don't know. Are people that aren't insiders allowed? I guess that's something I'm a little bit concerned, and that's why I'm kind of asking today is, why is it that a lot of the people that are the candidates in any of the party today somehow had to work for government? Why? I'm just curious. That's just me thinking out loud, folks. Anybody want to offer a suggestion?
Right. Well, has Kelly Day worked for the government? And
I don't know. Like I said,
Mark Friesen.
Yeah, he worked for correctional facilities, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was 25 years.
Well, you know, like,
I don't know, Kelly. Like, I'd have to look back.
Could it be maybe, you know, like, you know, you were charged in the past, right? You know what I mean? So maybe
right. But if you're charged on a political edict that's not based on an actual law, right? Like a genuine law. Oh, hey, I get. But like I said, that's literally the proposition I'm making here.
I was thinking that's maybe the only thing that I could see that maybe they're like, maybe they'll be like, look, they're hiring convicts or something. You know, I'm not saying you are one. I'm just saying,
No,
like,
but I'm
I
saying
could see what they're
someone
gonna.
else said that Renata
Yeah.
Ford had 3 impaired charges, right? I'm just saying.
Who?
Renata Ford, you know, Doug Ford's wife that's running for a
Oh,
candidate.
okay. Well, then, and yeah. So
So
maybe,
apparently-
That's
maybe
another flake. That's another flake. She's a token
But no,
candidate.
she was part of like, well, I mean, Doug, I mean, Rob, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like I said, this isn't about like trying to paint people in any name. I'm just, once again, just me thinking out loud, being observant of how this is playing out. Is she is the wife of someone that was a mayor, which, right? I mean, the government, I've never, like I said, I've never been part of government. I was always on the outside. And even today, I'm trying to help the inside, but I still feel very much like I'm still part of the outside. It's like, how much do I want to keep propagating? How much do I want to keep? Nah, anyways, never mind. Like I say,
Aren't you betraying your libertarian values by actually supporting
yeah,
government? I mean,
Yeah.
the one thing I can agree with you on is that we need to not.
no, you're absolutely right. No, go ahead, Frederick. I'm agreeing with you here, buddy. Go ahead, right ahead. Hey, where'd he go?
he cut out probably.
Ah, damn, Frederick, you got to get your stuff fixed up, man, because that happens even with you and AJ. But yeah, I get it. Like, listen, it was a hard thing for me to even overcome the fact that, like, why would I want to delve into the fray? But because I have this kind of weird ass heart where I'm compassionate, and I wish I could cut that the fuck out, to be honest. And sometimes, but it's like whatever I can do. I'm just like, well, I don't know. I'm desperate. What can I do to try to create more freedom? I've tried it in just doing videos. It's worked pretty good, right? I think I've done a decent job of it.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Actually, a lot of here's the part that I'll point out is a lot of the candidates in the PPC, and they've actually acknowledged it, and it's actually in video. I can actually show you proof of it if I make a video montage of it where they were actually inspired by me. I was the one. I have people that have said I went in to become a candidate for the PPC because of some of the things that you said. But I'm not allowed in the table. Like, I don't. Anyways, like I say, I don't even want to get into the conspiratorial thing, but I have found it weird that I still have to seemingly be left on the sidelines. But I'm fine with that because even on the sidelines, I'm the guy that realized that even on the sidelines, I'll still do a lot better job than even people that are insiders. But it's like, why wouldn't you want to take advantage of someone like me? Who does a better job of articulating what freedom means? That I'm just saying, in a competitive realm, it's like when I race my bike down the fucking track, who's kicking my ass? Nobody. So it's like, well, who's kicking my ass as far as the philosophical realm? In Canada, I haven't actually, I'm not, well, Stefan Molyneux, he'd kick my ass. He's like, that guy, I think is, if I was going to go toe to toe with someone in the philosophical realm and think that, ooh, careful, this guy might be able to fucking pwn you. It's like Stefan Molyneux, maybe, but no one else in the whole entire, even Jordan Peterson, I could school him on things because he's a professor. He understands religion and the statism and all that, and he understands that it's probably not a good religion to function under, but he still hasn't learned how to function completely outside of it. I have. Matter of fact, I've done it my entire life. So it's like I've got all the street cred. I've got all that background to show you that I actually know I've actually functioned in that realm the whole time, but I'm still not allowed to play with the big boys. Right? Why? I've always that still does pique my curiosity, folks. I'm sorry. I just got to bring it up.
Yeah, right. You know, I think you have a valid criticisms and stuff, right? You know, like why I haven't even noticed that they all work for the government or anything. I don't know, Kelly Day or I guess Mark Friesen, you said. I don't know, a couple other people.
Kelly Laurent. Like, and I'm not saying they're bad people, not by any stretch of the imagination. That's the thing. It's not like I'm trying to say they're
But
bad.
like, the level of government they're working in is not like it's like you're working in a correctional facility. Like that doesn't
I get it.
That doesn't mean anything.
Still,
Right?
but they're still you're still a little bit of an insider. Like even if you're the low level of the mafioso, even if you're just the guy that goes around to collect the check, it's like, hey, I'm not here to say that you owe me that money, but I'm just the collector. But you're still part of the mafioso, right? It still seems like an insider sport to me, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, just you know, maybe you're onto something. You know, like I said, I haven't even tried because you know what, me personally, I assumed See,
I'd like to see you
don't have
or
my-
Derek. Actually, did Derek do military service? I can't remember.
see my
Sorry, go ahead, man.
what do you call it? My expectations of things are not high to
Mm.
begin with, of anything, right? So it's kind of like I don't even expect to be.
Oh, I got to bring Dominic back in. Sorry.
Oh yeah, bring him back in.
Yeah, it was on my end for whatever reason. My
Oh, sorry.
headphones disconnected and I couldn't
And
hear anything.
same with Frederick. Sorry, both of you. I didn't mean it. And sorry, AJ, for cutting you off, buddy. I'm just trying to be fair here. Nick. That's a hard
No,
thing to do, as you know.
Sorry about that. I don't know what is it with StreamYards. I've tried I have 3 different mics. I've tried 3 different mics. It keeps giving me this error message about a browser. I've tried all browsers. I turned off a setting and I logged into my StreamYards account, so I should be good.
Hey, Frederick, man, if you want, like after the chat or something, when it all goes like it's not live, like we can try to hammer it. I'm not like super technically savvy, but I don't know if you want, we can talk and maybe try to figure it out.
Yeah,
If-
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I got a
Because
Zoom
I
account.
hate the fact that, I can't stand to see anybody go through this kind of shit because I've experienced it myself. It's like the most pain in the ass ever is when you have these stupid technical things that frick you up when you're trying to, get involved in these conversations. It's very annoying. So I get it, buddy. But anyways, let me get back to AJ because, I go ahead, AJ, buddy.
Yeah, there goes Frederick again. But either way,
Man,
what I was gonna say is that I don't have such high expectations for a lot of things, a lot of people, right? So then, I'm pleasantly surprised when they, exceed them to begin with. But like, I don't even expect with some of the things that I talk about on my YouTube channel that a party at this point in time, like the PPC, would even would I could assume or understand even where they're like, maybe we'll stay away from you per se, et cetera, right? And I'd be like, yeah, I actually understand, because it's not that I think it's good, but it's a step in the right direction, especially compared to literally everything else that we have right now.
I
And
agree.
also the other, it's like, what is the alternative? You know what I mean? There is not really any alternative. Like, you can try to go live in the woods and I don't know, start to stock food in your basement and shit, and get really good with guns. That's always good to know how to do, and you should probably do that just in case. But what can we do? And so far, from what I'm seeing, the PPC does offer a lot of good things. And even if they were like, sorry, you're like a white nationalist and we don't want you in our party, I'd be like, whatever. I kind of get it. I'm still probably going to vote for you.
Yeah.
But-
No, but I would even totally get
You know-
if I was one of those. Like, I would even totally understand if I was one of those people
I
that
told
were
Kelly Day, I texted her, I said, hey, if you have to like disassociate from me and all this crap, I completely understand. And then she's like, no, don't, I would never do that, blah, blah, blah. Right. I could never. And I'm like, I'm just letting you know. I'm like, I wouldn't be like, that's, you're a bitch. And, you know what I mean?
I personally, because other than the fact that it violates the NAP, but I don't have an issue with nationalism, and I view nationalism, the idea that it's inherently racist, is fuck. Like it has nothing to do with race.
No.
But insert any anything to anything. I don't care what it is. As soon as you add ethno to the start of something, it's going down a bad line. Like you're going down the line where it will never be ethno enough. Oh no, you're not white enough. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you need to leave.
Well,
and it will get to that point.
Yeah,
So,
that's a problem when people go and they get into the what do you call it? The something complex, not the complex, but the purity spiral.
yeah. Well,
Right.
I'm mixed race. I would ultimately lose in that spiral. I'd be like, I gotta leave because I know where this is going.
Right. But the thing is, when some people are talking about race and immigration, demographics, there is something about the character of Canada where it is predominantly European, right? And like it had its kind of foundings like that, and then and then for it to completely change in such a short amount of time, it's like that is asking a lot, I think, of the people for them. You can't complain about this. You can't complain about your neighborhood completely changing to now be Indian or Chinese, like Richmond. You
Yeah.
look at the way that it is right now, and you're like,
The issue is that multiculturalism, and
right.
I would assert that the skin color clearly doesn't matter, because if we took black people and put them in the area that was Europe, and took white people and put them in the area that is Africa, and had them start civilization from both those points, we'd come to a conclusion where now the white person was a part of the slave trade, but on the other end,
Yeah.
we would be asking for white reparations and all this crap. So this idea that we end up selling the ideologies that go together only work if it's with a certain race is bunk. And what it should be is, okay, this person's bringing this type of cultural idea that does not work with our Western values, because there's this idea of a very heavy classism in India. It can't belong here, because it means that, oh, you were born to this family, well, you get to clean crap for the rest of your life. And then that will be the fate of your child and their child and their child after that. Like, that can't work here. That's antithetical to free market capitalism, if anyone's allowed to grow.
There's also the aspect of tribalism, right? And how human beings, a lot of them, whether we like it or not, are tribalistic, right? And they will look at other humans that look like them.
Some of us
will feel more sympathy for them, right? And will be more sympathetic, and will maybe side with them in certain situations and stuff. And when the country gets too multicultural, then sometimes race does kind of matter.
Well, again, think of the word you're saying. You're saying multicultural. You're not saying multiracial. That's the important part.
Multiracial as well, right?
The thing is, the race only becomes an issue if you focus on it. If you just go, okay, so you have the values that I'm a free person, we get to live kumbaya, it doesn't matter what skin color they have. The issue becomes when they bring an idea that is antithetical to how this country runs, and that being our Constitution and our charter, then we're going to have an issue where tribalism spools up. I mean, we see that on the left and the right. You see people on the left that believe in collectivism and believe in this idea where people as an individual don't exist. It's you are belonging to this certain group. And those certain groups attack each other. I mean, there's certain forms of feminists that try to get at each other's necks. So they have gone and away from this idea of racial tribalism to ideological tribalism, where they're tearing at each other the same way that
they're both.
We would.
They're intersectional feminists now, so now they separate it between race, right? And then they're like, well, you're a
again, and they brought the idea of race into it, even though it has no bearing.
Can I say something there, guys? Well, what it comes back to at the end of the day, for me, it's about ideas and ideals, not about, like I say, to me, it doesn't matter what the skin color. Whether Galileo or anyone that in the past that come up with some of these great, or Aristotle or Socrates or Plato, I don't give a fuck what their skin color was. To me, at the end of the day, is what did they bring to the table in terms of trying to get humans to think outside the fact that we're just mindless beasts, right? Whatever they contributed to the table, like I say, I don't care if they had what color their skin was. I'm an ideas. At the end of the day, if someone come up and they just happen to have white skin, it's like, it's, to me, that's the weird part, which, like, even when I grew up in Toronto, right? And when my parents moved me up here when I was like 11 going on 12, the Toronto Leafs. And as a guy from New Brunswick, it's like, we didn't have nothing. We had to pick Boston, the Canadiens, the Quebec Nordiques, or Toronto. We had to support someone, because, like, It was that nationalist sentiment, that like I got to be part of an extended group somehow. But at the end of the day, that's not really conducive with thinking critically about things, and that's what it is. And nationalism is the same thing. It's like I don't care about what your skin color, and actually that's why I like Canada and the U.S. in comparison and contrast to Europe. Europe, the entire continent was based and built upon geographical areas that were divvied up and divided based on, cultures or skin color or whatever, all that stuff. But
you want to talk about why the Middle East is so screwed up? That's a great place to start.
Yeah, but Canada, the people that chose to
Because they have
come to North America, they said, "Fuck what our skin color is. We're going to build our foundation of our social economic endeavor based on ideas, not skin color, ideas," right? And that's the thing. It's like, why do we want to get back to like just worrying about, like, to me, when people say, well, I like
worrying about skin color per se, right? It's
but those, I want to push back a little bit on that, AJ, because you know what? When like I said, whether you're talking about Aristotle, Socrates, or go way like to whether you're talking about Galileo. I mean, he might have shared the same skin color, but you know what? All those people that shared his skin color that were white in Europe at the time, they all hated him. They all despised him.
Of course. I know.
Matter of fact, they were more than willing to fucking kill the man for his idea. So to me, that's why I'm not a fan of nationalism and based on skin color, because you know what? Matter of fact, most of the people that share my exact fucking same skin color are the exact people that have fucked me over worse than anyone else in my entire life. So that's why I'm not a big fan or proponent of nationalism, because that's based on some kind of stupid, superficial identity. To me, it's got to be about the idea. And like I say, that's why libertarianism, individualism, I'll acknowledge and recognize the individual, but just like Wayne Gretzky, I'll recognize the individual, but I'm not going to say the Oilers are the best. No, actually, fucking
nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that.
The Oilers were never the best.
Said white people are the best.
The only reason why they ever became the best was because of one man, predominantly, which is Gretzky, because he was a fucking leader of that goddamn organization.
Nobody's
so
saying
that's why, to me, it has to come down to the individual and not about collectivism. At the end of the day, that to me is the big thing that we got, and that's what our entire Western societies were based and treasured upon. So if we go back into the old
nobody's asking that.
AJ, no, go ahead. Sorry, buddy. Go ahead. Because I know you're not saying that 100%.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Well, I'm saying you're kind of arguing with a straw man the entire time. So I'm like, nobody's saying that.
No, I'm not straw manning you because I'm not saying that you are, but I'm saying a lot of Canadians, a lot of people base and judge their decisions in the political realm.
Like I'm dating like a black girl. You know what I mean? I tend to.
No. And I would never accuse you. Like, trust me, AJ. I know you're not one of those people per se.
But
right. Go ahead.
My point is, do you value diversity? To some extent, like do you value? No, okay, sorry. Do you value different people that are different? Like, do you value Indians? The fact that they exist,
and
the fact that Nigerians exist.
The only thing I don't value when you talk about diversity, the only thing I don't value in terms of diversity is in how we interact and engage. That is the area where I'm super rigid. Matter of fact, call me whatever name you want, but when it comes to when we're stepping outside our own personal social realm or our personal realm in our own household, when I go out to deal with you socially or economically, I'm rigid in terms of how we can do. There is no multiculturalism in terms of how we engage. There has to be some baseline fundamental principle, which is don't fucking use violence. Don't use violence.
Agree.
Right? And that's all I
agree.
I don't give a shit what the color of your skin is.
I completely agree.
Your background is like, are you want to engage with me in a voluntary realm? If we are, then I don't give a shit. We're good.
Yeah.
It's the ones that want to use government as a means to an end to impose their ideas on me. Like I say, don't care what you, and you know what? A lot of white people want to do that to me today. A lot of white people want to fuck me today. That's why I have a real hard time being all like nationalists, man. Matter of fact, most people that cause harm to me have been people that like Zach. Oh, look, exact same color skin as me. Why would I be nationalist?
This is the thing, Bennett. Like,
yeah. No, I'm sorry. I just, you know me. I just tend to.
Okay. I agree. I want to live in a society where nobody is using force against me. I don't care about the skin color of people. I don't even care about living in a place surrounded by different ethnic groups. I have no actual issue with that. I actually like differences, and I like, different types of women, black and Asian, So,
Right?
yeah, nice. I like that.
Right.
But do you like? I like the fact that Chinese people exist. I like the fact that Japanese people
Yeah.
exist. I like the fact, but you know what? Who's not getting a chance is people in European countries
Mm.
who are getting flooded by other people. Whereas one day, with the rate of birth rates currently that are going on right now, and the rates of immigration,
Yeah.
one day European people will be a huge minority in
Yep.
the own countries that they created.
And who's doing
Like
that?
France, England, UK. Like, you can
100%.
exclude America and Canada because you can say
So-
they were multi-ethnic.
Dominic
countries.
knows where I'm going with
Whatever.
this, buddy.
But
Who's doing that to those people?
it's the government,
Who's
which I
imposing
once
that
again I say I don't blame
Who's
ethnic groups
imposing
for
that
this.
shit on those European people, man?
And once again, it's the governments, which I
Other
don't blame.
European people, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Who's fucking Europe up? European
Exactly.
people.
I'm not saying that, but
Right?
we live in a
Oh,
democratic
God,
system
close it
where
down.
people
Drop
vote
mic.
for parties that propose different levels of immigration, and
Man.
and
They're
so
all
we
playing
all
from
a lot of
around
people
businesses.
support different
But
levels.
well, here's the thing I would say to that perceived
it.
issue is it an issue because the people that are coming over do not hold the cultural values that they're jumping into,
Yeah.
or is it because there's just a lot of them and there'll be now less of whoever was there first? What's the real issue?
Both.
And I would say the only
Both.
issue is whether or not they hold the values that the country has. Because this idea that it even matters.
Well,
who-
you're
who
also
holds
mixed
the
race,
idea.
so you
Yeah,
don't
so
have the same.
So it
perspective.
obviously worked out just
Oh,
fine.
I gotta bring-
didn't it?
No, I'm not saying it's bad. I know my niece, lots of people that are mixed race. That's all
Yeah.
great, but you got to try to empathize with people with a different perspective that don't
Yes, I
want
am.
to be replaced, because
I don't
that
want to be replaced either, though.
exactly.
Yeah,
Don't
you're not being
have
killed.
that
As long
right.
as you're not being killed off, you're not being replaced.
No, but
it's,
not that
it's
you can say. You don't have to say we're being
that's
killed off and say we're
tribalism,
not.
though.
No, it is. Sure, call it what you will, but guess what? I don't want to be a fucking minority in my own country.
I'm already a minority. As a
Yeah,
libertarian,
but here's-
listen, as a libertarian candidate,
Yeah,
fucking
Guess what? We live in a
Yeah, I'm the
he-
big-
he's the-
I
he-
am-
state
I am
against-
everyone in here is the ultimate minority. We're all individuals.
we lived. Yeah,
No,
okay. Well, yeah.
Hey,
of
There's
course
no
we're
one
all
exactly like me in this
Hey,
country.
hey,
I'm
that's
not worried
not how
about being
real people
replaced.
That's not how
if I
real people
represented
think.
the
We're
majority, I'd have
tribalistic.
a lot more than 7,000 subscribers on my fucking channel, man. I am a minority in my own fucking country. My own
Come
people.
on, guys. We gotta be
Hey,
intellectually
Janet,
honest
you like
here.
your freedom? Yeah, we're gonna treat you like you're a
Of course
second.
we're all minorities,
but the thing is, okay,
but people
the issue
group
becomes:
together,
is
guys.
it
Come on, we
is
gotta-
it inherently an issue if you're a
Good.
minority or not?
Good.
Is it inherently an issue? Take out
Yeah.
everything else. You are a minority in the country that you reside in.
Yep.
What happens?
What's
Wait
happening
till
right
you
now?
guys hold on. Wait till you Anglo-Saxons find out what happens when you reach a 30% to 20% mark. You think those Chinese are going to be
happens
really
right now?
honest to you? Come on. You're
I
out to lunch.
I have just as good a chance.
We have
to-
tribalism in politics.
Right,
As we
fuck me, man. I really, like I say, whether they're Chinese,
But
black,
you're bringing it to race, and it has nothing to do with the actual cultural bounds there.
exactly. I have just as much
people
to
care
be
about race.
negotiating with a white person because, like I say, I've seen a lot of white people that want to fuck me over. I mean,
Me
the
too.
reason why I have not been accepted and adopted in the mainstream culture in this country is because the dominant force in this country, which are white people, have said we don't give a fucking about you.
Absolutely. 50% of the Anglo-Saxon. Hold on. If I can get a word in. 50% of the
Sorry, go ahead, Fred.
50% of the Anglo-Saxons in this country are for mass immigration, which is ludicrous due to the education and just not understanding how other cultures are driven. Sure, you can get, if you go to China, there's tons of people that run over kids all the time. They just drive on by. Nobody gives a shit. They throw hot boiling water on women and kick the shit out of them. That's them. We all have our misfits, every culture, but that's their misfits, and we have our own misfits, right? And that's okay. But when I am, and being a Eastern European white background, and when we first entered the country, and we didn't get all, the nice treatment by Anglo-Saxons, that's fine. My parents took it as, that's okay. It's their country. It's our due diligence to take on their mannerisms, and everything worked out great. Right. But in the way it's working right now, you can see there are areas in Brampton, which is all Indian. Right. And I did a show last night talking about Immigration Watch and their latest article with Todd from the Vancouver Sun, and his synopsis of what's happening with mass immigration, with the Indians that are being brought over for high tech jobs, with the Filipinos that are bringing in for the low tech jobs. And we talk about race. Yes, that's superficial, but really what it is, it's about goddamn money. Because really, if there wasn't all of these people, our wages would be better. Nobody has seen a fucking wage increase for the past 20 years or more.
You know who
right?
did that? You know who did that to you, Frederick? White people.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't disagree.
Your parents and grandparents that said, like, yeah, I'd rather than paying my fucking kids a livable wage, oh, look, I can build a corporation and hire people.
Nobody's blaming brown people for anything. Nobody wants blaming brown people for anything here.
Stop with nationalism is what I'm saying, because it's not about skin color. It's about what the fuck roams around.
It's about skin color, whether you like to believe it or not. You got to live in the real world.
I do. And I will never surround myself with white people that want to fuck me over for the sake that they want to bring in some slave labor to destroy my ability to be able to be productive in my country. Sorry.
If you keep importing diverse groups of people that are going to group into their own little communities, you're not going to have a very unified country.
Who's in charge?
Fuck white people are shit, man.
People that are
shit.
So, guys,
fuck white people.
I just want exactly. So just don't play.
I'm not blaming brown people for anything. I'm saying
white people that are selling up
government is importing.
White people are selling up the river, man, for $1.
Look, brown people will take care of brown people. The Chinese will take. The Chinese
over there, like, I don't even want to get involved with this shit.
Well, I mean, I already said the issue is so. We just bring whatever, a bunch of Ukrainian people over, and they bring over their culture. Have we destroyed Canada now? Like, I don't understand the issue. Has everything to do with the, like Bennett says, the ideas that they are coming with, and whether they are willing to integrate into our country.
Guess what? The majority.
I don't want mass immigration. Yes, but that's an issue of mass immigration and ghettoization. It has nothing to do with anything else than just that. Yeah. It has nothing to do with their skin color, has nothing to do with where they're even brought up. Because if fundamentally, as a person, they want to integrate, then they're going to.
They do not want to integrate. And
that's not true. Selim Mansour is a big middle finger to your entire premise.
So you take one guy. Have you read his book? It's very light, and it barely says anything. The Delectable Lie. So what? There's one Muslim out of how many that are thinking. You don't know what's going on in the minds. I sat in the fucking in some place where the Chinese person. Hold on, where the Chinese person is.
No, we have to fault the Christians for the Spanish Inquisition. No, but I guess we have to do that now.
Yeah, but Dominic only brought up the guy that did. That's the point of a libertarian, is pointing out the individual. Like, you're trying to identify people as a group. I don't want to fucking talk about people as a group, because there's no such thing as an individual group. That's a fucking oxymoron. So he pointed out one person that is an individual that goes against it. So those individuals, which is why libertarians say, fuck your collectivism. I'm saying I want to deal with people as individuals. If you're an individual, I don't give a fuck about your skin color or your background. Yeah. If you're like Dominic is saying, he's saying, if you're conducive and you're allowing me to have my freedoms, I don't give a fuck what your background is. That's what he's saying.
No,
you're trying to argue the fact that he pointed as an individual. He's standing solidly on his ground, and you're trying to use an entire group to make your argument. That's not going to work very well, Frederick.
Okay, if you see it that way, then come to Markham. Come to Markham. Go to Brampton if you don't see it my
Okay,
way.
well,
Are
you're
you
pointing
You know,
out
like
failure.
if you guys are fine with bringing in mass immigration with people who do not
No one's
operate on the
saying
law,
that. I specifically
but that's what
just
you guys are
argued
saying.
that- No,
That's how groups form. That's how groups form.
Hey, okay.
I can't get a word in.
Don't try to skew what I said. You were making an absolute straw man of
Now I'm gonna
what I
say-
said.
It's not a straw man. It's an argument.
It
that
is.
I'm
It's
just gonna
straw
grab a
man.
drink, guys. You
Because
argue.
I never called for mass immigration. I said that
No, you
if
didn't.
whoever we're going to bring in, as long as they hold the values of the country, there won't be an issue. Salim Mansour, as an individual, holds that type of value. He wants people that are going to defend the charter, the constitution, the Western values that make up our country. If you have an issue with a group of, first of all, it has to do with ideologues and culture, again, not their skin color, then that's fine, because if they're antithetical to the way that Canada works, then no, they shouldn't be here, because we, again, cause issues, conflicts, tribalism. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. So this idea that because, oh, I'm arguing for this individual, therefore I want everything that
Ahmed Hussein says the same colorful stuff. Ahmed Hussein, Iqra Khalid, they all say the same thing, and it never ends up to be the thing. This is why.
But do not try to paint me under the guise of somebody else. I'm not them.
No, but this is how group dynamics work.
That's your collectivist.
That's how group dynamics work.
That's your collectivist view. At what point have I been grouped with that person? I never voted for Obama, and first of all, I'm not even American, and second of all, I love Trump. I love the fact that he does what he does for his country because he loves his country. He had no reason to run there.
He loves the ideas of his country.
He just wanted to run.
It's just another politician that's pushing bullshit ideas to people, and they're just slurping it up, and nobody's paying attention. Me? I'm
the one shelling out ideas out of no basis of my.
I didn't say you. I said Trump. But what I'm saying is, you guys are.
Him as an individual? Do you know him as an individual?
No, I'm watching what he's doing.
Or do you know him as a politician?
I'm watching what he's doing. Right?
So if you
at one moment, he's been talking build a wall. He's been bullshitting this for how many years now? And then on the other hand, he's talking about. Who cares? The system people doesn't get. People have been working the system
for
60
years. He has
years.
to play with the hands he was given.
Okay, so we got to this.
Because Trump comes in, like you're handing him. You're saying, "Oh, I can't believe you played such a crap hand with the hand he got." That's not his fault. To try to blame him for his shortcomings because he was handed the powers that he is allowed to have within his own government is ridiculous. It'd be like blaming me for not being able to fix the education system, even though I'm running for federal government. It has nothing under my purview. It's not fair.
Right.
Come on.
But earlier, like you're saying too about Trump, I agree. Like to some extent, he's not a dictator. So people also have to understand he can't just snap his fingers, and there are a lot of judges that go, no, you can't do this. Like there was a judge recently that just overturned something another judge made, so now he's allowed to deport people. He deported people 30,000-40,000 in a month or something. But either way, I agree with your guy's statement. I truthfully believe that about people, that you judge people as individuals. You always judge people as individuals. You never look as them as a group of people that have a certain mindset.
Right.
I look, whenever I meet a Muslim, a this or that, that's the way I always look at people, right? But the issue, right, that I had was just obviously the amount of people that are coming in at the rate they're coming in.
Oh, we're all agreeing.
Yeah. I said I want them to integrate. I don't want.
We're all totally agreeing.
I know you do. Yeah. I know you guys do. I know you both acknowledge 100%. That. But we also have to acknowledge that other groups of people and other people, or including white people,
and listen,
again, it's all ideologue for me. Like Maxime said, he wants a system place where CSIS, RCMP can all
Yeah.
interview these people.
Yeah.
And now they're on the record as saying they believe in blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
when we catch them in that law, out.
Exactly. And
Like,
as a generalized
I
We
know
need
that.
that position.
I know that.
No, but even as a generalized statement, I will even admit, AJ, that certain people from particular backgrounds or histories based on their demographics because of the culture that they're raised in are not as conducive as adopting Western values.
But we give the individuals that come here as individuals.
But it's only as
There-
a generalized statement. And to me, as a person, if I'm going to get into the political realm, like to me, if I'm just sitting around a round table with my friends, we can talk about generalized statement all day long. But I'm going to get into the politics where now I have the mystical gun in the room and are picking losers. Now all of a sudden that stuff matters a whole lot more rather than just generalize it. Now I have to deal with people as individuals because I would never think about it. Why would I ever want to point a gun to someone that believes in the same kind of values that I do? Right? And they care about my freedom as much. And I don't care about the skin color. So to me, like I say, whether you're a domestic Canadian or someone that wants to immigrate to this country, at the end of the day, all that I really care at my core is, are you willing to respect my individual sovereignty and my freedom? If you're willing to do that and you're willing to contribute in some way and create some kind of, whether it's economic or social prosperity, or even in cultural prosperity, right? As far as advancing ourselves so that we're thinking outside of beast mode and not just running around like we're all fucking Neanderthals. If you're willing to contribute to that equation, I love you. Come on in. Don't care about your skin color. The problem today, though, is government is using economics as a means to bring people from third world emerging countries because they realize that these people, and some of them are very ambitious and innovative and creative. Matter of fact, I have nothing against the immigrants that come to this country. Most of them are just coming here because they just want a better life. 100%.
Yeah, of course.
Most of them really do. The problem is we live in a fucking welfare state. As much as I have compassion for these people, as much as I have compassion for these people, even if they were come from Ireland, which I have an Irish background, even if they were come from Ireland, I was like, well, no, if modern day Ireland was paying people $1 an hour or $1 a day, I'd be like, no, we can't adopt or bring in a large percentage of Irish people because we are conducive in our little fucking monopoly game that we're playing in this place called Canada. You have to function under a particular kind of economic compensation to even thrive and survive here because of government. I didn't create it. I didn't invent it. I don't promote it. But government has made it so there's a particular level of economic prosperity that we need, that we're required to keep ourselves in a particular level without going lower, which we should never be going lower as we advance humanity. I'm saying is the people that want to help contribute to bringing us higher, come on in. I love you folks. Matter of fact, you're the best people I ever want to meet. But the problem is today, government is saying, no, we want to use them for voters. We want to use them so that they're good little serfs, subject, or slaves, and they'll polish our boots or clean our homes. Or a lot of people are taking advantage. Or you're a corporate class like the guy I was having a conversation with earlier. It's like, yeah, of course I should have access to cheap slave labor. It's like, no, dude. No, you have to hold yourself. The point of the West is we hold ourselves to a little higher standard than just mindless beasts. That is the whole premise. That is the basis of 2,500 years of Western philosophy is no, we've stepped outside the realm of just might makes right. Now we use our brains, we use intellects, we use moral and ethics as the basis for how we coexist. And you know what? It's worked out for us for hundreds and hundreds of years. The difference today is, like I say, because of the economic Ponzi schemes that have been introduced in the last about 80 or 90 years since the welfare state was introduced, they're like, the only way they can sustain it is bring it, and they've even admitted, watch the articles that are produced all the time. It's like, oh, if we don't bring in all these people, the whole Western world, the economy will crash. Why? What the fuck did you do to fuck our whole economy up that now we have to rely on slave labor to sustain it? What the hell did you people do that's the only way that we can maintain any prosperity in this country? You fucked up. And I'm tired of allowing these people that fucked up to be the ones that dominate the discourse and how our economics or our fucking social interactions and engagement go forward. I'm like, you fuckers, you've already shown you suck at everything you've ever done. Get the fuck in the back of the bus that you belong, because you losers. That's what you are. You're losers that have been shown. Hey, we gave you the opportunity. We put you on the big stage, and you showing you suck. I'm saying at this point in time, let the big boys and girls step up the plate and show you how it's really fucking done. And until you've given us the opportunity, well, then you're going to function in the realm where you keep playing your games, but all you're going to do at the end of the day is the opportunists on the left and the opportunists on the right and the opportunists on the left, or the authoritarians on the right and the you're all going to be battling amongst each other. Some of you might win, like the right wingers, and when you win, you'll be like, oh yeah, yay! Yay! Look at we beat but all you're doing is you're imposing your bullshit on the left. You know what? Eventually they're like, oh, I'm so frustrated with all the imposition from the right wingers. Oh, you wait till we get power dipshits, and they're going to do the exact same stuff. They're going to impose their will on you in an opposite manner. That's the world we live in today. I'm saying, let's stop playing these fucking games. I'm tired of playing these fucking games because I've seen how detrimental it has been to the entire Western world. I'm saying I want to hold us to a much higher standard. And that higher standard has nothing to do with your skin color. It has to do with your ideals and your principles at the end of the day. And that's what libertarianism means to me, is self-ownership. I'm me. Nobody fucking owns me. Not one person on this planet can ever claim that they own me. I'm not a slave. I'm not a subject. I'm not serf to nobody. And anything that I provide by a natural extension of my intellect or my labor should be me. I provide it. Now, if I want to
Bennett, I'm going to challenge you to that thought. Go out there and tell a cop to go fuck himself. And let's see how let's see how far how long your freedom lasts.
Why do you think I have a criminal record, buddy? Hey, buddy. Frederick, why do you think I'm not allowed in the PBC and I have a criminal record? I've done exactly what you're suggesting, which is why it's like, and you know what? All those ones that fucked me over for challenge them, white dudes.
But let me ask you something.
So white. It's like,
Bennett,
to put a pair of
your veins are popping out of in your head. Just give me a second.
But it's a reality. But it's a reality, Frederick. It's
so
100% reality.
Let me ask you this.
Right.
So I just want to understand. I just need you to confirm. Are you affirming that you're okay to be a minority in your own country if
I'm already holy shit, I'm already a minority in my own country.
Fine.
Established that.
Further, I'm minority.
Are you telling me that libertarians are a majority in Canada? Are you really trying to suggest that? I
still don't know what a libertarian is. Like, honestly, I've heard so many definitions of it.
If you do it, give me 1 second so that I can record that, or at least put the time frame. Right.
All right.
But are you going to say it, or are you going to acknowledge that libertarians are not a fucking majority in Canada?
I don't even know what libertarians are. There's so many different versions of it. Right? I don't pigeonhole myself. I don't pigeon myself.
But there is no such thing as a different version of, like I said, self-ownership. I own me. I just explained to you what libertarian principles and the values that the principles or the philosophy of liberty entails.
What do you mean by self-ownership? What does that mean?
I own me. Me. Nobody owns me.
What do you mean you own you? What does that mean? That's a general statement.
I don't have a master, man. Nobody owns me. Nobody owns me. I should have been born as a free human being. Now, somebody wants to control me. There's lots of
forever existed as a free human being. You're born into some class or tribe or a certain group that you're going to be pigeonholed into doing most of what humans are born into today. I can tell you where they're going to stay. I can tell you that people who are born into wealth and affluence, right?
I've never been born into affluence. I was born into shit and then fucking outhouse until I was 9 years old. So there's no.
What I'm saying is, you can't say absolutely. I'm born free. Who was born free on this planet?
I was.
Well, you can be free. Two people can be free and have levels of wealth.
No, I really was until the government got involved in dictating my parents and how they, had economic.
So you're saying right now you were born free.
Yep.
Okay, so go kick a cop in the balls. Let's see how free you are.
You just
said you should be free, right? You're free. What does that mean? No, I can do anything I want. I'm the Uberman.
You asked me to explain to you what libertarian.
Okay, go ahead.
Self-ownership, property rights, and non-aggression principle. Where the fuck does
non-aggression principle
say that I should be able to kick anybody in the balls, whether it's a cop or just another person?
What if I'm crazy and I have Tourette's syndrome, but instead of saying fuck every minute, I just kick people in the balls, and I'm like, well, it's me, it's my Tourette's.
No, that's using violence against someone. I don't give.
I'm just saying, what if I have Tourette's?
I don't give a fuck. You still don't have any right.
I'm not excusing violence. I'm saying here's an example. It's extreme. No one is free.
The definition of the word excuse is
this guy needs to learn a lot. AJ, help him out, man. He's a noob, man. The guy's a noob.
I'm a noob.
You really are. You're a noob.
Let me ask you.
What it is for a human being. And it's a sad thing because I hope
stop quoting.
I hope someday you'll learn what it is to be free, man. Because once you've done that, you'll be in a much better position.
You said you're born free, right? You were born free.
Yep.
Okay. So free, what are you free to do? exactly today? Because you were born free, right? You were born. I think you're what, same age as me in the 70s and stuff. So what were you?
1970 exactly.
Okay, fine. I'm a year older than you. So what exactly were you free to do? And you're not free anymore.
Freedom means not to have people impose their will, their mandates, or edicts on me by preemptive use of force, violence, or coercion. Like I said, whether it was my parents, and my parents didn't.
Oh, then you weren't born free because it's always been in place. You're talking about
my parents actually did not. See, that's the thing. You're using your own personal experience. And I feel bad for you people that were raised in families that love to use force as an ultimate means to an end. And that's why you people think that this is the way the world should exist, is because that's the way you were raised.
Don't tell me you're quoting Pauline. Don't tell me you're quoting Pauline. You guys are morons.
So I have children that I have to raise free. So I'm going to have to leave you guys on that.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Dominic.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks, Dominic, man. Thanks for joining. Actually, I really enjoyed our dialogue, and sorry that we're getting a little bit off. These are good. I actually like this kind of conversation, but okay, he's done. But yeah, go ahead, Frederick. Finish off with what you say, buddy.
No, you were saying that you were born free
yes,
in the 70s, right? I was born in the same time frame. So if you were born free, what is your argument today versus the 1970s and 80s?
My parents never chose to use violence as a means to raise me. That is one thing I can say. Now, lots of Canadians, yes, they had parents that did use that. And I mean, it sucks for you guys.
So we're talking about parents now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So forget about parents. Society. Right?
We don't live in a free society.
Have any like pre-legitimate authority to use violence toward? Is there such thing as legitimate use of authority or violence towards children that you can excuse?
No.
Okay, so then
you're right.
Now, if
are you free now? Are you free now?
No, I'm definitely. My mind is free.
Okay, so what happened between?
My mind is free. My body is not. No, 100%. My body is.
So what happened between the period you were born, you were free, and now?
Matter of fact, it's because of all you people that believe in government is why I'm not free in my physical sense.
Exactly.
In my mind, I'm totally free. But the only reason I'm not free today is because those of you that believe in government. If I can convince, like
do you think I believe in government?
Just like in the past that the guy was hung at the altar because no, but think about it. If you were the guy 200 years ago, I do not
believe in government. I believe that it exists by osmosis, but I don't believe in a government.
Right.
But I want to ask you.
I'm not saying you, Frederick. I'm just saying the rest of our society are indoctrinated in the belief of statism. So they're more than willing to sacrifice me at the altar of statism because they believe
I understand statism. Have a discussion with my wife on China, but
the rest of the people's like, stop sacrificing me at the altar of your political master. That's all I'm saying at the end of the day is like, just now, if I've caused harm to you, by all means, use, preempt or not preemptive, but use violence as a means to defend yourself. If I ever impose myself on you, I would always say that's the best thing you do. But the people that like me, I've never imposed my will on someone. So at least stop the people that are trying to impose their will on me. Stop supporting the people that want to use preemptive force or violence.
So at what point? Let's stop trying to use Paulineau's arguments. I don't agree with that man. I don't think he's that bright.
Paulineau?
I call him Paulineau for Molyneux.
Are you doing that as like because like I say, call him up someday. Have a debate with him.
I don't want to have a debate with that moron. But listen, I want to have a debate with you. For the most part, I agree with you. But hold on. I'm trying to get to the nitty-gritty of the truth.
Line up to him sometime and see what you can do. Line up to him.
It's not going to be hard to have an argument with that guy in a debate because
you're throwing a baseless accusation against a man that, like I say, if you lined up to him intellectually, he'll make you.
Why are you taking this so personally?
No, he will make. Hey, I'm listening. Like I say, challenge. Hey, don't listen to me. Go ahead, call him up someday. Get online with him where it's you and him engaging and just let.
I'm talking to you now, right? I don't want you bringing up Molyneux ideas.
You're the one bringing them up.
No, because he's bringing up the ideas. I know he's using the Molyneux idea. So let me ask you this. Let's just go.
I don't care about the person. I don't attribute. I've never attributed anything.
These are much older ideas than Molyneux's.
An idea is an idea. I don't give a fuck about the person that thought about the idea. Like I say, gravity exists. I don't give a fuck if it was Galileo or Newton. No, actually, it was Newton. I think.
Okay, but let's stay on topic.
I never
Bennett.
attribute a reality to an individual. I
Listen,
attribute.
Bennett, I respect you, and I definitely watch your show all the time. But I want to get to the nitty gritty of the truth, and I want to
Okay.
talk about a few other
All right.
things. One of the things is
I'm all for it.
you said
Yeah.
you made this statement that you were free when you were born, and you and I were born in basically the same year, right?
Tell someone
And
who's
we both grew up in this country, and then you say now that you are not free. At what point in the intersect in your life did you feel you were no longer free?
Once I became an adult and government had a ability to impose their will on me, and my parents had no means to defend me. That's when it came about. Yeah, because when I lived under my parents, they actually treated me and respected me as a sovereign. That's why I am who I am today, actually. so
Well, hold
it
on a
wasn't
sec.
until government had the ability, and it wasn't until a bunch of mysticists that thought that government had some pretense of authority to me, and they were like more than willing to allow them to throw me under the bus. Like in the past, it wasn't government; it was people that, like I say, there were people that were sacrificed at the altar and hung or had their head lobbed off, and they had to watch their families had to watch that happen. Why? It wasn't because they didn't want to happen or they wanted to happen. It's because there was some political authority that deemed them to be some criminal because they didn't abide by their political edicts of their, king or queen, right?
So you believed yourself to
But think about prima nocte. If you were an Irish or a Scottish citizen, in old world Europe, and one of the king nobles came around and said, I should be able to fuck your wife before you do, and you decide to go against that, and they hung you. Well, who did that?
You're bringing up Braveheart. I don't know how that we got off a topic. I'm trying to get to the nitty gritty here. So you said you were
agree.
Okay,
The reason
okay,
why
okay.
that happened is because the people that were all standing around there believed that king had some pretense of authority to do so. Fortunately, there were people like your William Wallace's, or the people said, no, they don't have that actual authority. There were people like me saying, no, I'm not going to let my fellow man, woman, or child be sacrificed at the altar of this mystical concept just by sheer fact that they have a political edict that deems that, if you don't go by what I say, right, if what I deem to be right or wrong. No, the people, like I say, that have thought about these things intrinsically and understood the proper concept of individual freedom and liberty have fought this stuff for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. You're basically alluding or suggesting that we should go back to, I don't know, what politics should rule the day, and whoever is our political master should deem whoever's right or wrong. I don't want to live in that realm, man. I've seen how that goes.
I don't. Okay, so you've kind of went on a few different tangents, so I'll try to tackle each one.
Go for it.
One of the tangents you bring up the whole concept of government. I don't think anyone in their right mind, except for people who have extremely been indoctrinated, most of those people are from communist countries.
No.
They are. Like, if you talk to my wife,
I talk to people
she's
in
a
my
real
own
big.
family that believe very much in government, man.
Okay, but
You have no one
primarily
in your
like
family that believes in government?
no, my father hated the communists. He
No, but
fucking
you said
didn't
your
want to
father.
serve.
There's no one in your family that believes in government. Are you serious?
My wife is a complete statist. Like, she just will shit all over
Right.
the Hong Kongese because she wants.
Exactly. So there's a
But these
lot
people are communists, right? They've been bred to just
Mhm.
stay that we need the state, we need this big, and I see it from her point, right? Because it's very hard to manage a large group of people. But as much as we don't want government, if we were to eliminate government by osmosis, we would eventually have one, because there is things about mitigating behavior, bad behavior, good behavior, trade deals and stuff, and then that's how government grows. Government didn't just appear out of bumfuck nowhere. It eventually metastasized into what it is now. And then those people that are eventually power just want more power, right? But what I'm saying is, you as a child, when you think you were born free, you really weren't born free. You were still under the auspices of your parents' authority, and they should have authority over you as a child because you don't know better. Otherwise, we'll get these Gretas around the world going out and preaching to me how I should spend my tax dollar. Meanwhile, she's floating on a $2 million yacht, right? So, I think we all agree here, and I'm just trying to get to the truth, and I'm not understanding it. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm a noob, but I'm here. I'm listening
really
to what
are,
you're saying. But the whole libertarian movement. There's so many definitions and little pockets of understanding.
No.
You're kind of alluding
what-
that we
yeah.
need to direct people. Is that kind of what you're saying? Like, kids need to be governed and be taught right from
Taught.
wrong. And,
Taught.
sometimes the government.
God's not governed. Like I say, we have
step
to understand the
in.
words that we use.
But you
folks.
don't. We need to, because what happens
Or
is
go ahead.
social construct type thinking where you're like, okay, if we just invest in this, put all of our money in this and this and this, it'll fix the problem. But it ends up creating a bunch more problems. Whereas a lot of the problems we have today are created by the government. If we would just let things go the way they go and let people's own money be spent the way they want to spend it. Like, we were arguing about immigration before, and I was talking about being a minority in our own country. Well, that is directly to do with the government and the fact that we are not free, and the fact that they're taking our money, redistributing it, bringing in immigrants at a cheaper price, importing our jobs to other countries. This is directly the result of a large state. So it's kind of like, we keep doing this and we wonder why we keep encountering the same fucking problems.
Which is why I don't even worry about having to explain anything to you, AJ. You get a firm grasp of this. And like, I'm not even trying to say to Frederick, like, this is the problems. Like, I don't mean to come across as harsh, but you know what? Sometimes you got to be that way to get people, because you know what? Someone had to be that way to me to get me to think outside the box. I'm sorry, man, Frederick, man. But listen, you have not thought about these processes properly, buddy. It's not that, like I say, I'm trying to help you. That's all, man. It's not like I invite you in the chat because I want to hear what you guys. It's not that I have anything against you. Like, and AJ, AJ definitely understand this. I need you to understand this. It's like, we can't base things on these superficial aspects. It's been done so many times. It's caused so much harm, so much disunity, so much division, and so much. Oh man, like I say, a lot of us were fortunate we didn't grow up in the 20th century. We had to go through World War I or World War II. But trust me, a lot of us have at least heard the story from our parents or grandparents. And it was fucking terrible. This collective mysticism, like I say, I don't want to play a game. I don't want to be active involved with this shit. I want humanity to think about these things properly. And if I got to make people uncomfortable, even if it's Frederick, like I say, I like the guy. I know he probably has good intentions, but Frederick, listen, I'll even admit, back in the day, I was ignorant and I didn't know. Listen, if I went back 10 years ago, there's probably even some of my own shit that I'd be like, oh, I'd cringe at some of the things I said because, like, you spoke before you actually understood things properly. And I maybe even today I'm still doing that. I'm not even saying that I know. Once again, I'm humble and I have enough humility to recognize I don't know everything. And nor should I ever pretend that I ever would, because that puts me in a really, really weird fucking place that I don't want to be. But if you think that based on what I've heard from you so far is a proper philosophy, it's not. A proper philosophy is let's respect each other as individuals. Like a lot of geniuses that come long before I ever fucking was born, before I ever breached my mama's vag, right? There was a lot of fucking geniuses that come up with these ideas that said, you know what? Let's not play the mystic game. Let's not play the brute or the might makes right game. Let's treat each other with respect. And you know what? That's going to be a good way. And that's a conducive method that will create prosperity for so many people. And you know what? It worked. It worked. We've seen the real world evidence is all behind us in the past for the last 200 and some years. The difference is that now complacency, conformity, and people's unwillingness to like I say, carry that torch and keep it brightly burning is like now we're resting and residing on the laurels of all those people that did the great things, that put on that hard work and effort, did the intellectual vigor to put us in the place we are today. To me, it's like I don't want to fail these people. I want to actually build and expand upon them. I don't want all the people that fought and died for our freedoms to fucking die in vain. I want to make sure that I'm going to not just recognize and acknowledge all the things that they did in the past. I want to make sure that I'm going to do better going forward. And to me, like I say, it has nothing to do with the skin color. It has nothing to do with race. It comes down to ideas. And if your idea is that you shouldn't use force, violence, or theft towards people, but at the same time, still be a great threat, because that's the other thing that libertarians get as a negative connotation, is they're pacifists. And that's the part, like I say, these political libertarians ruin the entire philosophy of liberty. Because if you understand the philosophy of liberty properly, they're not conformists and they're not complacent and they're not like pacifists. As a libertarian myself, I'll go through the course of my life never doing anything to use preemptive force or violence towards anyone else. But if they bring it to me, the only thing that I've got, the only thing I have at my disposal to make sure that they won't do so going forward is to defend myself vigorously. That's all I have. Not that I want to use violence, but violence as a means to protect myself or defend myself is all I have at the end of the day. I mean, well, unless I can use words, which is what the political realm predominantly used to be. That's why under, like I say, 2,500 years ago, they were like, well, yeah, we could pile up bodies like 300, right? But maybe a better idea is let's just sit a bunch of people around a round table and let's discuss these things so we're not killing tens of millions of people to break through some of our impositions or some of our disagreements as far as how we interact socially or economically. To me, like I say, 2,500 years later, we should be doing a much better job of making that the predisposition of what it is to be a Westerner. Is I don't want to use violence. I'll use it as an ultimate means to the end to protect myself, but I'm not going to use it because we have the intellect, we have the verbal skills, we have the communication. Look at what we have today. I'm here right now talking with you and AJ and well, Dominic's gone already, but I can propagate this message to, literally if people want to watch it, tens of thousands of millions or 10. So we don't have to use violence anymore. All I'm saying is let's use our words, our intellect, and philosophical underpinnings and principles that are conducive is what's created this modern world. Let's use that as the basis for our interactions. And if we can do that, then we're all better off. And whether I don't want to gain any kind of advantage over you by sheer fact that I'm using politics, the gun in the room. If I want to gain an advantage over you, I want it to come as a result that I put in a whole lot more work and effort, right? Whether it's socially or economically. That's all I care about at the end of the day. So Frederick, I'm sorry he's gone, but go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, right. I think there was just maybe a miscommunication.
I think it was, yeah, because I don't want Frederick to think for 1 minute that it's just that he's not, and I get it, but you know what? Maybe he needs to hear this stuff. So, I say, I had to go through this cognitive dissonance bullshit too.
Well, the thing is when you said I'm free right now, right?
Right.
Like in all reality,
only my mind is free right now.
Exactly. But
that's it.
What he's thinking is well, you're not free. Obviously, we're living in the government in Canada.
Yep.
Whereas if you break the law, whether it's stupid, whether it's against the NAP principle, regardless, you're going to go to jail for it, right? So that is true, right? So it's a truth. But
he's completely right about that.
It's the whole aspect of whether do we need to live in that type of situation.
No.
And what you were saying before too, the reason that we are living in that is because maybe not people like Fred, but people who all agree and believe that we need to live in a system like that. It all depends on whether you have enough people believing a certain thing, whether or not we can achieve these types of ideas or places to live in where, if everybody agrees that we live by the NAP principle and all this stuff, then we truly could be free to a large extent, and it's not impossible. Things are only impossible if you make it impossible in your head. First of all, I'm sure, slavery was the norm throughout all of history. You read Aristotle, you read these things, and they talk about slavery like it's normal. It's nothing, right? They're like, you have a slave and you beat him, and what is that good or bad? Blah, 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 right?
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera. But now we've changed, I'm sure, and we can change. Humans have changed throughout history, and we want to believe that it's not possible that we'll just be the same. But it's we're still not living in trees, bashing each other over the head with sticks. Most people in our country's Western civilization, a lot of other countries find slavery abhorrent now. This is disgusting.
Yep.
That we can make progress, and the more progress that we can make is understanding you don't have a right over other people's bodies, and you don't have a right over their money, their resources, to direct in things that you think are important. You're like, oh, look at these dumb idiots. I'm gonna spend all the money on climate change shit because that's what's really important. Where it's it's not. Let people make their own fucking decisions with their own money. That's all we're really asking. Yeah. Don't put a gun in my head and be like, hey, you have to do this, do all this crap. But Fred had a couple super chats if you want to address them there.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm on this stupid maybe I should have been looking at my YouTube portion of it. I'm still on the when I'm doing this thing where I'm looking on it. But do you get the? Oh, okay, I see that. But yeah, I just want to point out right now that, like I say, and Frederick, come back in anytime, buddy. And I'm like I say, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus in any way, but the only reason why I'm even pushing back and be a little bit forceful in that is because I want you to do better, buddy. That's all. That's all. I just like I would do that to me. Matter of fact, I do that to myself every fucking day. You have no idea the kind of abuse I even impose on myself to make sure I'm keeping my brain in a good common sense mentality where I'm not falling into this bullshit of mysticism or collectivism, because it's an easy place to go. That's why for the authoritarian collectivists, they get us at an early age and they can impose that on us. And I get it. And I'm not even blaming Frederick. Like, I know what the fucking shit you've probably gone through in your life. I know the kind of imposition you probably had. I'm just saying, I'm trying to help you, buddy. It's not that I have anything against you, man. I've had to go through some of that same hell that you're going to go through in your own mind. Trust me. It's not easy, man. It's a motherfucker. And I've had to do it on multiple occasions, not just against the mysticism of the state, but because I was raised and inundated with a very religious fucking family, I had to break through that too and still try to have a good relationship with my family. That's not easy, man. It's fucking difficult. It's living hell to try to break through from people that are trying to indoctrinate you in an ideology. It's not easy to try to do that and still have like a cordial relationship with them, because they're like, oh, if you don't conform to me, they don't respect you anymore. And it's hard. I get it, Frederick, because once we've done that, it's like now you're like some lone soul, right? You're like, I got no tribe, man. And it's tough. But you know what? Fortunately, because libertarians understand that how important it is we kind of have our own little tribe. We're loosely connected. We're not a genuine tribe per se, because we're so individualistic. It's like we're never going to be like we're all just going to sit around in a room like kumbaya. That's not going to happen as far as libertarians go. But at the very least, even if we never sit around in one gigantic room singing kumbaya, but that's never happened even under statism or religion. But at the very least, we'll all, as AJ will even acknowledge, I'm not fearful of AJ because I know he will respect me for my sovereignty, for me as my individuality. And I don't give as long as he can do that, and as long as I'm not using force or violence against him, and we can respect each other for that. I mean, that's a pretty base requirement, right? For our flourishment economically and socially, is let's just not use force, mysticism, or collectivism as the ultimate means to an end. So just function and figure this stuff out, Frederick. Maybe you just have been listening to the wrong people. I did. Listen, like I said, I've had to go through lots of areas in my mind where it's like, oh, shit, here I thought I was right here. It's like, oh, man, now I'm going to have to embarrass. I've had to even embarrass myself. I was like, okay, now I got to change and pivot.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, buddy. That's what it is, man. If you're going to fucking think about these issues critically at all, it's just, like I say, get enough information from enough people. And if you are generally moral to your core and you care about things that are principled, you'll get to the same place that I am, and I think what AJ is, and most of us are. And it's like, it's not about skin color, it's about ideas. And like I say, I don't care who people are, where they come from. Is if we're going to live in a Western society, the ideals that built this amazing world that we live in today, as far as us Westerners, were built upon those very, very promising fundamentals of I'll respect you as an individual, and you can function free marketly and do your thing. And if you offer something, whether it's a product or a service or even an intellectually vigorous concept, if a lot of people want to adopt that, then let them do it. And if it's conducive with creating more freedom for them, that's good. That is a fucking good thing, because I guarantee the people that are free and not feeling like someone is imposing their will on them they're going to have a much more adoptive as far as a live mentality. So I'm not going to have to worry about them. Whereas if we create this atmosphere of it's might makes right, everybody's always going to look at, well, we're going to have to pick up that gun room. That's what politics is today. Now everyone's like, we got to vote liberal. We got to vote conservatives. We got to vote NDP. We got to vote PPC. We got to vote, because like somebody's got to pick up the gun, because someone's going to own it. It's like, oh, I don't necessarily want to own it, but I better pick it the fuck up. And it's like, I'm saying like either everybody gets a gun or nobody has access to the gun. That's what a libertarian stands for, is you have to be universally consistent in your morals. And it doesn't even mean that everything I say is going to be conducive with how the world's going to unfold. I can say what I got to say and put forth the most amazing principles. Doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that have bad morality or bad ethics that are still going to impose their, like I say, after 2019, I don't even think that I'm going to be free as far as there's still people that are going to want to plunder a portion of my income. I guarantee that. Right? Would you agree with that one, AJ?
Oh yeah, of course. And like your earlier point, I try to, before every show, like the Canadian Roundtable that I do with Frederick, I tell him, he has to be better. He has to think better and be smarter. But, he doesn't take the advice. Never does. Never
He'll
has.
come around, though.
Never will.
But he seems to, but he's still.
I'm kidding.
No. But I will just say, AJ, the fact that he's willing to engage in these conversations tells me that he's someone. He will. I believe he will get there. And to me,
No, he won't.
Oh, really?
No,
I don't know. Maybe you know him better than I do. I definitely don't.
I don't know. Maybe he will. I'm
But
kidding.
I
But,
guess all I can say at the end of the
maybe.
day is I'll still always try to offer what I can offer the guy, and I'll at least show with real world experience that I don't want to impose my stuff on you, Frederick. I just want you to accept and adopt it. Just don't impose your edicts on me. That's all I want at the end of the day. Is like you can have your preferences and you can do your thing. Just don't impose them on me at the end of the day. That's all I really want.
Yeah, but then people look like they'll counter with like, but monopolies and but militaries and the military is going to kill you all because you're all peaceful or something like that.
Yeah, but that's
not hurting each other.
Well, exactly. That's the problem with people that don't understand the libertarian philosophy is actually, no, that's the point of even when the U.S. set up their constitution is there was no standing army, but there were tons of militias, right? Which is actually the reason why the British could never conquer them. And think about it, they had the entire British army, right? Going against a ragtag consortium of 13 colonies. And they didn't even have a properly coordinated effort because they were all ragtag colonies fighting against each other. But even ragtag 13 colonies that were used to fighting against each other and didn't have actually a universal state that they were fighting for in opposition to the UK, the British people, they still showed that the fact that they were fighting for their freedoms, right? The freedoms, that was the ambition. That was the goal that they were fighting for, which gave them more ambition to secure that kind of freedom. Because the people that are trying to impose their wills, the incentive structure is not quite as strong as someone that wants to impose their will as someone that's trying to,
fight for something they own against a slave who doesn't own anything. You look at the Spartans versus the Persian army or something, right?
Yeah.
300, right?
Right.
Like that was like the kind of idea. It's they're free men. And you look at Greece at the time, it's like 25% of them were free. 80% of the population was slaves.
Yeah, it wasn't like there was
whatever.
freedom.
Ignore that part.
But I get, yeah.
There was free men against a slave army, and that small group, like it is I think it's somewhat of a true story. It's not exactly how it happened, but there was a smaller force holding up a much larger force, and morale has a lot to do with battles and armies and like whether you have a stake in, if you're fighting to defend your home that you built, you've tilled, you've worked with your family that you love, as opposed to being like a mercenary or a slave that you get mistreated. Once he gets back, well, you're not going to fight as hard. You're not going to care as much. So, less of you are going to have to die before you turn around and run away, as opposed to the other person you're facing that are going to fight maybe to the end, right? Whereas people are like, fuck it. It's not even worth taking these people, even though they're way less. You know what I mean?
Once again, what's it come back to every fucking time? Incentive, right? The people that are fighting for the freedoms have a much stronger incentive than those that are trying to impose their wills on them. So freedom eventually will always win at the end of the day. And to me, I don't want to create a whole lot of destruction during this battle because these battles are going to unfold. To me, it's like, let's be wise. Let's pick our battles. Let's not impose destruction. Let's not cause harm to people that don't necessarily need it. Let's use our intellect. Let's use proper vigor. Let's create a free market. When governments want to impose force, let's create an alternative that says that here's a better way to do things. That way, you don't have to use force as a means to turn people away from government. You don't have to trick them into a new mentality or a new psychology. Is just show them that there's a better way. and they'll automatically try to gravitate to that if they're decent people, and those are the people that actually want to gravitate toward that. And I think most people, I'm still one of those people, because I've dealt with thousands of people over the course of my life, and out of the thousands of people I've ever interacted with, I think the majority of them, at their core, whether they're good or bad, I think they just want to do what's best, what's conducive with creating their own kind of freedom in their own particular realm. And they recognize that that's only going to happen if they're willing to afford that to someone else. So if we can make that conducive, then I think we'll figure it out. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to go through hardships. To pretend that we're ever going to live in a utopian world where bad things aren't going to happen is, well, that's like I say, that's functioning in a realm of mysticism. And it's a good idea if you want to just lay back and put your head on the pillow and dream about that. It's a good idea, right? Maybe put your health, your mindset in a good, healthy state. But that's not going to be actually the reality when you wake up tomorrow. When you wake up tomorrow, there's still going to be people that are going to want to impose their ideas, their mandates, and their edicts on you, which is what government does. That's the thing with big government, is allows all those people, even if they're a minority or a majority, it allows those people to impose their will through some kind of legal structure or some kind of authority structure where we're supposed to accept it. At least in the past, where it was just brute force, you recognize no one had any authority. Now we live in a real weird realm where everyone thinks that we should just allow that kind of authority to take place.
It was brute force, but a lot of times we got to remember too, people.
It was brute force, but at least people
are also very religious too,
right?
You know what I mean? So they didn't always necessarily require brute force. Sometimes when it came to like religion, where it's like, oh, well, you have to listen to these people. Like it's like, you know, that's what you do. That's what you do, you know, and but you're right, throughout most of history, has been that way, you know, brute force.
But you're right. I didn't mean that per se, actually, tell you the truth, because yes, violence has always been used. But I'm saying that if we can get ourselves up to a proper intellect because we don't have to, like in the past, brute force was a needed necessity. Just like in the animal kingdom, if you went out there, like I say, if you sat in the Serengeti, right, from afar and watched how that whole thing unfolded, it's like there is an actual necessity, and there's a lot of violence imposed in the natural world or the natural order of things in the animal kingdom. But because us humans have said that we can step outside of that, where we don't have to rely on using brute force as the ultimate means to end. Now we have the ability to figure out things in a much more conducive manner where we can cohabit. Like I say, that's why we live in this amazing world we live today. I'm saying let's just get away from the people that are inundated it. And I get it's hard, man. And I understand Frederick's and actually, hopefully Frederick's down there. Oh, he's not. But Frederick, man, I get where you're coming from, buddy. I don't hate you. I don't have I do. No, but I kind of understand a little bit where you're coming from, because you were taught certain things by certain people, and what it is you just haven't had enough people in your personal life. And maybe we should be doing this. Tell you the truth, Frederick, I think a proper way to do this is me and you maybe sit down where nobody's watching in video and where it's just me and you talking. I guarantee we would be in a much better situation where you'd realize that I'm not trying to get you in a gotcha moment. I'm just trying to tell you, man, I've seen how the history is unfolded, and using force, I mean, it will work. And it's not like I'm not even suggesting that there's no practical use for force. It does work, but it also causes a degradation in what we're trying to advance humanity. It's like, I don't want to get back to the old brute force of humanity or the brute force of the state of nature. State of nature sounds good in theory, but until you've actually lived it fully, it's pretty brutal, man. It's harsh. It's nasty. Humans have tried to advance past that, where we can do things in a much better manner. And that's all I really want to do at the end of the day, is get us to a proper philosophical intellectual endeavor where we realize that we don't have to use force. Not saying that force won't exist, which is why I'm a big proponent and supporter of the Second Amendment and people having the ability to defend themselves, is because I'm never going to live in a utopian state where I think, well, just because I'm a libertarian, well, everyone's going to, no, I know there's still people going to want to fucking impose their shit on me. So I want to treat people as respectful as I possibly can, and it's been very beneficial for me for most of my life. But at the same time, there's been people that have imposed their will on me. And the only thing that's ever helped me in the immediate moment, because calling the cops when someone's standing at your door and got a gun pointing in your face ain't going to help you, because they can blow your head off before the cops ever showing up. So having a healthy self-esteem, having a self respect of the individual and the ability to defend yourself properly is the only means of defense we have against the authoritarian collectivists. The authoritarian collectivists, though, they have this big, gigantic, mystical thing that they can use nowadays, not religion anymore. Well, it's a new iteration of religion. They call it statism. And they're trying to impose their will and their morality, although their morality is based on like the most crazy fucking things. At least the morality under Christianity used to understand that, you don't use force. Fine. Their new realm of morality for these leftists or these authoritarian collectivists is destroy everything except aligning with your group or your identity. And it's like, oh, if that's your pretense of authority, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Right. Yeah. Just people that what they need is a concrete set of morals and, ethics that are not easily movable, swayed. Right. And that was kind of one of the good things about Christianity to some extent was that it gave people, and in fear of a eternal punishment too, if you do shit wrong against it. So that was a good incentive, you could say, for people to act kind of moral, right?
Yeah.
Good in some way, right?
Let me ask you a question, AJ. So I guess when I'm on the StreamYard, because this is my first time, well, earlier today was my first time using, so this would be my second time. But so I guess when I'm on the StreamYard, I don't get to see the super chats. I have to be on the YouTube portion of it. Because
probably you have to just switch to the YouTube to see it there.
Okay, cool.
What I usually do when I stream is I'll just upload I'll just have the actual YouTube page up and I'll just look at the chat from there, right? And
I'm doing that right now, but usually I was stuck on this, I'm usually on the original part. So you know how when you start your stream, even when we used to use the YouTube, and I open that up and then I always open up that secondary thing and I mute it, because you got to mute it so you don't get the echo, right? But then I always end up sticking with that original one. But then on my stream, it always stays. Well, yourself, and a couple others said that even when I scroll down the bottom, it's like, fuck, some reason if I'm at the bottom, it takes a long time to get down there. But I'm trying to pay attention because I know that Frederick did. So my handle Twitter is MenkenF. My handle Twitter is MenkenF. Thanks, Frederick, for the 10 bones. But yeah, I do try to stay on top of people that don't. Okay, here's another one. Dude, I respect you. What the hell, man? We're 70s. Hey, Frederick, buddy, trust me. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to throw you under the bus or anything, man. What it is I don't know how to explain it without being a little bit harsh, man. And tell you the truth, someone had to be harsh with me a little bit for me to get out of my own comfort zone. It's not easy, and I totally get it. And which is probably why we shouldn't do this live, because it's weird to do this stuff with people watching this. I get it. It's hard. It's not easy, man. But at the very least, one thing I will say about the rest of you is you're all at least willing to talk about this stuff. And which tells me even the worst of the worst, you're still good in my books because you're someone that's willing to engage in these things. And it tells me that I like I say, no matter what you want to, even if we have some disagreements, the fact that you're willing to engage in the dialogue and converse with me tells me that you can't be that bad. You can't be that bad of a dude. I could be wrong from what AJ is saying. No, I'm just joking. But I respect you, man. I got nothing against you, Frederick. And maybe say, if you want, send me a message on any of my social media pages. And damn, I usually don't like to do this, but I'll even give you my fucking phone number and we can just have a conversation on the phone someday. I don't do that for a whole lot of people. But I'll do it for you if you think that I maybe somehow misrepresented you or treated you poorly in this conversation, because that was not my intention. I want you to know my intention was not to try to one up you in any way, because that's not what I'm about. That's actually super fucking easy shit. I just want to help you get up to speed, because like I said, I've been in an ignorant realm in my world, and it's I don't want to be there anymore. I know what it was like to be in a point where someone wasn't pointing that.
Yeah, he's very ignorant.
Well, not necessarily. I'm not even saying he is, but like I say, I don't know where he is at in his intellect, but I'm going to at least offer something that at least make you think about this. And people have done that for me, and that's the only thing that's put me in the place where I am today. Is someone that was willing to challenge my own, predispositions. Which, at the time, is oh, how dare you fucker, right? It's we all get mad. It's that cognitive dissonance. How dare you? I know what I'm talking about. And it's but then after you're oh shit, actually, no, they made some good points, right? It's oh shit. It just means that you got to have a little bit of humility, and it is a tough pill to swallow for men in particular. It's like, oh, that's a nasty one. That goes down hard, right? But it's okay, because at the end of the day, at least I acknowledge that we're all in the proper pursuit of, we're just trying to figure this stuff out. And if you're still on that and you still respect me for where I stand, then like I say, reach out to me sometime, and we'll have whatever conversation that you want to. I'm like I said, I'm always willing to give you the chance to say what you got to say. And it's too bad that you actually get. Why did he get dropped out of this one? Is it because of his goddamn connection, AJ?
I don't know what it is, but he got a new computer, and he's like, it's not my computer, it's something else. So I have no clue. But
yeah, it's weird. Huh?
I can't
but
remember.
He does seem to have a lot of problems, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, like mentally, physically.
I didn't say any of that. I'm just talking as far as like when he's trying to get into the chats.
Yeah, I know what you're really trying to say.
Yeah,
but no, I'm joking. But yeah, like I don't think he does not taking it personally or anything like that. I'm sure.
Good. That's all I can
argue with him like that about the libertarianism and shit already. So
cool.
I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna convince him. Maybe.
I mean,
I don't know. You just keep. He'll be like, he'll just say osmosis, government, some other shit, and like, I got him. He was not supporting the PPC for super long, and then he finally supported them. But then his candidate is like some Asian girl. He's like, I'm not voting for it. I'm not voting for them anymore. I'm just like, you're just looking for a reason not to support them. Whatever. But whatever. We agree on enough stuff that it's not like it's not a big issue or whatever. But it's all about, for me, it's proportion. I understand that most people think it's pretty radical to live without a government, because it's just so ingrained in most people.
Yeah.
That they think it's necessary, and they don't think it's necessary on the side of necessarily like, I want to hurt people and like this is my goal to use violence against people. They're just like, but that's just the way it is.
Well,
we need
it to,
and,
well, that's all they know, right? And I'm the same thing. I'm like, for those people, it's like, we're put it this way, and I've said this I think a few times in the past. Government's not going anywhere anytime soon, folks, right? Even though I know it's a mystical concept, just like, some of the religious fundamentals in the past. It's all based on mysticism and abstract impossibilities, but they were indoctrinated that in the past, just like today, they're all indoctrinated in the religion of statism. So I know that not everyone's going to be pulled out of that. It's going to take a long time. Matter of fact, it's a multiple generational prospect to even get us in the Western world, and you don't even know how that's going to play out, because it's such a long time frame. Even though those of us that want to promote, like, even I would imagine, even during the Enlightenment era, there are lots of Enlightenment era figures that try to get people outside of the thinking of the realm of dictators or monarchs, right? But still, look at, even in the 21st century, there's still monarchs that exist. So there's still lots of people that are comfortable with playing in the realm of mysticism. So it's not going away anytime soon. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, if I'm going to help my fellow man, woman, or child, only thing I want to do is give you some good philosophical understandings of what it is to be a free human being, and just use that for yourself. Not for bad, not to be evil, just use the basis of the understanding of what it is to be a free human being, and hopefully you use that to create some advancement at some point in time that'll put us closer to that area. And people throughout the past have done that. Individuals have done that. Like I said, we've backslid. I mean, look at what the world we live in today in 2020 or 2019. We've backslid a long time. Even if you compare the philosophical underpinnings as far as our governments today compared to even back to 1700s, late 1700s, they had a much better, firmer grasp as far as what freedom even meant in terms of social and economic realm than we do today. But what it is today we've rested on the laurels of those geniuses and have allowed mysticism to creep back into our realm and allow opportunism to take its foothold. And that has propagated and it's flourished because a lot of people benefit from that. But I'm saying, let's reinvigorate. Let's have enlightenment era, what I have coined 2.0, where we can get a whole lot of people starting to, especially in the age of information, where we can think about these issues more critically, where we can create not just a semblance of freedom for ourselves in the here and now, but maybe a couple generations after us will build and expand upon that. Because I don't think I'm ever going to have any genuine influence or sway in the time that I'm going to be alive. I mean, I hope for that, but I think in the grand scheme of things, I still am I'm a small little bit player, but at the very least, I just want to contribute. All I want to do is say at the end of the day, when I've taken my last breath, I've contributed to try to get people to think about the most important aspect of what it is to be a human being, which is to be free, That's all I care. How that plays out in the future, I don't know. I sure as fuck don't have any pretense of knowing how that's going to unfold. I'm just saying that I want to offer enough information that's going to make that kind of that spark of freedom. I want to make sure that spark doesn't just sustain itself, but turns into a big giant flame in the future. And if I can do that in any way, if I can contribute to that way, then you can put me 6 feet under tomorrow, and I'll die a happy man.
Right. Yeah, and that's all we can really do is try to work towards is just trying to get people to understand that you don't need the government and the force of violence to get things done, or the threat of violence to get a lot of things done. If we can just, because, the reason we're in the system we are right now, essentially, is because a lot of people agree with that system. And there's a lot of apathy going on. A lot of people, they're not really paying attention, and they kind of just think, once again, like, well, this is just the way things are. You have to give power to these entities. But if they were taught in schools from an early age that maybe they can, what do you call it? Like if you taught them like a lesson, if you knew an answer to like something that the government currently does and takes care of, like in school, and you say, okay, to a kid, like, what can you think of something that can take its place and that will not cost taxpayer money?
No, I hear you. I'm just reading the comment you put in there. You're making me laugh all the fuck, age. You all osmosis on her.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy, man. I was fucking hilarious. I just laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Pretty
stuff.
sure I'm using that word correctly, but pretty sure it's accurate. But everybody's making fun of Frederick using that word or something earlier. We're not making fun, but we're just, I think it's just one of those words that people like to say a lot. Osmosis.
Yeah, I was just reading another Reverend Jim Jones that said, "God damn, Bennett can rattle on forever." Yeah, you better fucking believe it. Seriously, I don't know anything that can ever stop me, to be honest with you. Really, when I'm on a roll, like I say, and I said this, I think in my last ones, Toe Rogan with his 3 hours, let's go for it, buddy. I'll fucking put you. Joe will be like, I submit, man. Fucking, he put me in a fucking mental jujitsu move. It was like, that's it, I'm done. I can't handle it no more. I'll put him into mental submission. Go ahead, Joe. Let's make this happen someday, right? Or Toe Rogan, I should say. But what it is, I think it is what it is at the end of the day is, once again, because of my religious upbringing, is I'm a passionate person, and I do have, like, I had a lot of female influence in my younger life. So I understand the importance of emotion and how that reflects on how everything plays out. But then, of course, I also have that very male dominated where you're just thinking about intellectual and the strong and the protecting. But what it is I don't know, it's just pure luck, I think, predominantly why I am who I am today. A lot of things unfolded the way it did that created this guy that you call a fucking Bennett Hunter. And I know I'm a total weird guy compared to most people. That's one thing I've always understood is I've been a little bit every time, like I say, whether I'm racing or they're I am not just one of those people that will just fit in, right? They'll just blend into a crowd. I'm going to stand out in some fucking way no matter where I am. It's like, it's a weird thing because sometimes it's good. Sometimes like, oh, I don't even want to stand out. Can you just let me just be me? It's like, so it's a little bit of a hard thing. But at the end of the day, I do understand at my core, I care about individual freedom, because not because I care about your freedom per se. I will admit
Yeah.
I'm selfish.
Sure.
I'm actually selfish in that regard. In that way, is I care about my freedoms and the freedoms for the people that I personally care about. So
Yeah.
what I have learned as I've grown up over all those years is if you're not passionate about defending the freedoms of not just yourself, but those you care about, then no one else is going to have that ability and think about those things critically either. So that's why I'm so passionate about what I do. It's not necessarily about I'm worried about myself. I need you to care about your own freedoms, because if you care about your own freedoms, you're going to afford and affront me that same kind of respect. And if I can do that for you, then at the end, I've by natural extension, I've gained tremendously. So that's why I'm so passionate about this stuff.
Right. Yeah. You know, I completely agree. Like it's 100%. But fuck yeah, my eyes are still a little bugging me right now from that pitch. It's still irritating me.
Yeah. Well, listen, hey, if you want AJ, because you're one of those guys, I'm pretty sure you're one of those guys that would probably put up with me for fucking 10 hours. But if you want, man, you can jump up if you're, don't
Oh,
worry.
you're just trying to get rid of me.
No,
That's
I
essentially-
surely.
Yeah. I get it.
man. Like I said, I can go fucking
get it.
forever. No, I would never do that to you. But I'm just saying
All right, sure.
that if you didn't, if you're sick of, but actually, how about this? How about I just go through the stream and you could just think about things on your own and figure out what you want to do from here. But let me just, I'll see.
Right.
AJ Cosmos on his face. That's exactly correct, sir. Be free, get it. I can't wait to become a hermit one day. Yeah. Oh yeah. Aspiring to be a hermit. Well, that's not actually, that tells you the state of our fucking world. When you, if you're aspiring to be a hermit, like, yeah, that's kind of a negative reflection of the society, right? It's like, I don't even want to be part of it. That's bad. I want society to be so proper and so healthy that you don't want to live as a hermit, because I don't like that. And I know why you would do it. And I'm not even saying it's bad that you would want to do that, Daniel. I get it, why a lot of people want to exit stage left, man. I totally get that. There's been times in my own life, it's like, well, fuck this shit. I'm shutting her all down. I'm going off in the woods. It's like, I totally get that. Totally. But you know what? It's good for you. But I guess that's my problem. That's my natural Achilles heel, is I have sons, right? There's my natural Achilles heel, folks, is I have a future beyond me. And most parents, most people that are actually parents, that's the part that drives us so hard, man. It's not me. I'm willing to deal with a lot of shit for myself, but God damn it, my kids didn't ask for this stuff. They were born into some pretty nasty shit. I didn't try to cause it on them, but I don't want to leave them. Like, I don't ever want to leave this earth where they're just, once again, I've left them in such a precarious position. They're just sacrificial land to some fucking, authoritarian ruling class. What a fucking world that I would be leaving it to, which is why I fight so hard to stand in defense of freedom. It isn't for me. I'll be okay. As a matter of fact, I've already proven over the course of my whole life, I'm going to be okay. I'm not doing it for just selfish reasons, although the more free Canadians are, the more freedom I'll get. So a little bit selfish, but my selfishness predominantly comes from my genealogy, passing on to my kids, to my successive generations. I'm not doing it necessarily for AJ or Frederick, although by natural extension, right? Not the benevolence of the butcher or the baker. If I'm doing the right thing, even though I'm doing it for my own personal endeavors, by natural extension, you're going to benefit from doing the right thing as well. So we all benefit if I do the right thing, if Frederick does the right thing, if AJ does the right thing, and if everyone in the chat, if we're all at least trying to achieve a proper amount of success in our goals that are ethical and entrenched on a proper morality, then we're going to it's going to be good for us, and it's going to be good for the rest of the people that we surround ourselves with. And that, at the end of the day, is the only legacy that I want to leave, is that I didn't cause any more harm over the course of my lifetime. Is I brought about more benefits to society than I've ever brought as far as detriments. That's all I really, at the end of the day, with someone, that you can put that on my fucking tombstone. At least Bennett did less harm or did more good than he did harm. I'm good with that. Like I say, because I'm not a perfect human being. I'm fallible like everyone else. I've fucked up in my life. I've caused harm to people. I'm sorry that I've done that. And even in people in my family, like I had been in, like, we've had to work through that. I've caused harm to people. But once again, I want them to know that I'm sorry that I've ever done it. Well, I mean, my own family already know this. But at the same time, all I want people to understand the things that I talk about is because I want a healthy society, not just for me, but for everybody out there, even the people that don't necessarily agree with me. Because even the people that don't agree with me, if they understand how important it is for their freedoms, then even if they don't agree with me, if they're going to do the right thing, even if it's for their own selfish reasons, then the rest of society benefits as a consequence. And at the end of the day, I'm good with that.
Right, exactly. You know, I completely agree too. You know, people, it's kind of like the whole Ayn Rand theory type thing, right? You know, it's the like people being selfish in a way can benefit everybody. You know, if you care about yourself and your family, then you know that will have a positive, you know, effect usually to me, to you, to a lot of different people. You know, it's like you don't have to be you know, have your be a bleeding heart and shit for everybody and stuff. And you know, it's like, hey, if you want to go live in a communist society and be a slave, be my guest. But I don't want that for me or my family or my kids or anything like that. So you know, it's yeah, I you know, but that doesn't mean I don't want to help people. I don't want to, you know, do that, promote good things, because obviously, you know, I think people are made largely also by the interactions that they have with other human beings. And if you treat people badly, poorly, well, you're just going to be breeding more of that in society. And even from just a pragmatic viewpoint, if you want to reduce the amount of violence that is probably going to be coming your way, you probably want to reduce the amount of violence that you're putting out into the world. You know, if you treat people, your children, strangers you meet kindly, well, you know, there's a good chance that they're going to be kind back to you. That doesn't mean that people are not going to still be violent and use violence against you even when you're kind and stuff, but it's just a better way to live. It's a better, you know, most people I think don't want to impose violence on others. They don't want to hurt other people. You know, we have empathy as human beings, natural empathy, and it's just it's a better state of life. We are all, I think, naturally more anarchistic in some sense. You know, we don't want to be ruled and governed by a lot of people.
Yep.
And we only think that we need to a lot of the times by necessity, by, you know, but who will build the roads and you know, this and that, and great, and China will invade us and whatever, right? It's you know, we are scared away from freedom, scared away from living better, having more opportunity, because of the fears that, you know, these things will, you know, the fears that are bred into us or that are taught to us, you know, from a young age. You know, there's nothing in schools taught to us about anything about having a small government or even less of one, or whether things can even be done without the state. Oftentimes it's, look what they did for us here, and they did this for us here, and this is why they're so great. And, you know, it's hard to break that mindset that a lot of people do have. But I think that we can see lots of examples where we don't require the state to do things. And we can, like, the majority of the things that we buy, the things that we do in life, and the people that we interact with is done through voluntary, peaceful means.
Yeah, 100%.
So you just need to apply that to a little bit more things instead of just
just stretch it out, man. Just like expand the concept of voluntarism. Right. Just expand that out a little bit. That's all you got to do. Like I said, don't know where we're going to get to that point, but actually, AJ, you know what? Rather than us go totally serious, because like I say, I think we've already hammered at this stuff playing up. But let's get on to a little bit of a softer stuff. And I noticed all the videos you were making when you were trying to figure it before you get into doing some streaming is you were out on a fucking ATV. It's like, oh, AJ is look at this guy. That's because that's right up my alley. So what kind of I know it's a 4-wheeler, but like a 4x4. But which machine do you have out there?
What was it? I think it was a Polaris.
But 750, 800, 900. Which do you know
I
which
think
one it is?
probably like 750. It's nothing too crazy or anything
Right,
like that.
right. So yeah, but those things. So did the players? It's been a while now because, like I said, I haven't had an ATV since I had my whole.
Fuck, man. Yeah, I barely even when I go to my dad's, I drive it.
But the
That's
players
it.
should still have the front independent McPherson struts, right? Because that was always a player's thing. They always had the independent McPherson strut suspension. Do they still have that today? I haven't. Like I haven't been on a machine in a
to
few
be-
years.
I'd have to ask, my dad. I don't know. He would know more about it.
Because you
I'm
know
not-
what, Polaris was one. They were a little bit slower on the get go comparison.
Yeah.
To some of the V twins because the Polaris always had like a parallel twin,
Mhm.
which are Siamese like side by side, whereas a lot of the like what you're talking about Can-Am or the Kawasaki Brute Force, they had V twins, right? So a V twin always predominantly ends up having a higher torque rate usually than a parallel. Parallel cylinders, even street bikes, like I'm a big street bike proponent. Japanese street bikes, they have parallel 4 cylinders. Those parallel 4 cylinders is actually much more beneficial if you want to get out of the gate to a V twin. Why? Because a V twin is very torquey, which puts your ass up in the air, right? Actually,
Right.
a machine that doesn't start building power until 6,000 or 7,000 RPMs is better to get out of the hole because then you're not standing. Because the minute you're standing up in the air, you're not
Yeah.
accelerating properly, right? And you know this probably. But actually, the Polaris, what I always loved about the Polaris, and I road manned them because my brother actually.
Yeah, I've catwalked a few dirt bikes
You ever
before
heard of
doing that
Spoil
shit.
Sports in Ontario? No, you're in Alberta, or I mean Manitoba. But in Ontario, there's a place called Spoil Sports. My brother, he's always bought his ATVs when we lived in Ontario from that place, and they were a big sales. Polaris was one other. And man, one thing I will admit about Polaris with their independent McPherson's front suspension is fucking smooth. Very, very smooth riding. Now, a little bit tippy when you get into the corners and stuff, but
Yeah.
oh my God, you could run over like a 6-foot log.
Oh man.
All right.
I
And
fucking, in the country where my dad is, man, it's like there's rocks fucking everywhere in
Yeah.
some of the areas and big logs and shit.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
good for that.
yeah, oh, they were always awesome for that.
But I've almost flipped those fucking quads, man. I've taken hard turns and I took a hard turn and it was on 2 wheels. It threw me off, but I landed on like my feet. So I just like ran towards it because it was going to run towards a fence or was going to hit a fence and destroy it. So I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Just hopped back on it and drove away. I was like, oh, thank God. Like,
Yeah. Well, it looks like you guys are in a great spot, actually. It's fun. Although it's a lot of flat. That's one thing I will always say that I appreciate about the East Coast is because you can go into some flat, like if you want to go on the rail beds, the old rail beds in New Brunswick, obviously a rail bed, they have to be pretty flat and pretty straight for the most part. But then you can get off into some of those areas where you're heading up towards the northern part of the province where you're like up and down and into the fucking mines and where the old forest trails is like, wow, like a whole lot of fun. But I did notice and recognize when you were putting your videos, like, man, it looks like AJ has a pretty good spot to go out there and have
oh man, the valley, there's
roam.
some steep fucking areas around there as well. Skidooing, it's a little safer skidooing there, but on an ATV, it's a little even more dangerous because some areas they're really, and yeah, it's easy to kind of tip those in the when it's in the winter and snowmobiling, it's easier to kind of maneuver some of those trails. But yeah, fuck man, it's hard to get a perspective from the videos I was showing. But trust me, it's huge, and it's.
Did you have a GoPro on that, or were you using your phone?
I was holding my phone with one hand,
so
and like riding with the other hand. So I was like,
So you must have a pretty good phone because it actually didn't look like it was all bouncy, or so it has obviously a camera stabilizer built in.
No, I just held. Yeah, well, I guess I don't know. I
Good.
guess in the phone but it was my old like iPhone 6, and I got a new phone.
Oh,
just
okay, right
recently.
on.
So
because I tried that stuff
Even
back.
better.
It was like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, you don't want to try to use the phone. That's why I actually bought my first. Actually, before I even bought my first GoPro,
yeah,
I
it was dangerous. It was
I had
insane.
this stupid thing. It was made by Oregon Scientific. Actually, I think they used to make calculators back in the day. Oregon Scientific, I believe. But it was this thing. It was like a weird webcam, and you had to put your little. Actually, it wasn't even the micro SD. It was a full size SD card, and you could mount it to your helmet. But it only recorded in like the old 4x3, the letterbox, right? So there was no like. there was no wide angle or 16.9 aspect ratio or anything. It was just very, very closely focused. But I remember even back in the day, it was so amazing to have an actual camera that you could carry around on you and record things in real time when you're out there and riding the trail. So today, like, especially now, where are they up at? Was it 7 or 8 now as far as GoPro? Like, now you can record in full K, stream it live if you're in a place that has a decent connection. Beautiful for the people that actually, that's the sad part about me no longer being involved in that particular community as far as ATV and stuff. It's like, shit, I could have taken advantage of all these amazing modern advancements in technology, because there's some beautiful scenery, just like what you had when you were traveling on your machine on the East Coast where I am. Man, I could have showed some great, and now you can actually buy drones, and you probably know this too, that will just follow you as you're going, right? How fucking cool would that be? That would be sweet, actually. I think I'd like to maybe, well, that's the thing. I'm probably going to end up spending a substantial portion of my time, and I think I've already covered this, is, yeah, I'm not going to be a candidate for PBC anymore, but I'm probably still going to end up spending a substantial portion of my time back in my home in New Brunswick, just by sheer fact that it needs a lot of work. So I might want to get back in this stuff too. And actually, when I'm in that environment, because where I'm in the environment I am now is just like an urban. It's like, what am I going to do? Show people fucking buildings? I mean, that's no. But if I get back there, I want to do a kind of like a little bit like what you're doing. Get out there, and even like Kelly does, like get out and do some, like maybe do some podcasting or a live video where you're just walking in the woods in the forest and just talking, because those kind of things I think are actually more conducive, because then you're feeling a much more relaxed environment, right? And I like us, and I think people like to see that you're not just stuck behind it, because I know I'm kind of always stuck behind this desk. It's a pretty good desk. I've created a pretty good setup, but no, I want to get into doing what you guys are doing and get a little bit more adventurous and expanding on what I'm doing a little bit. So yeah, you guys have been, well, you in particular, and seeing you on the ATV is like, yeah, that's cool. Actually, I'd like to be out there in Manitoba. Actually, even those 4x4s like that you're riding, I could put them motherfuckers on the back wheel and wheel them all day long. All day long, man. I'm one of those fucking guys that's, even as a kid, whether it was a bicycle, tricycle, 10 speed, 12 speed, 20 speed, BMX bike, I love challenging myself when it comes to those things. So like I say, 2-wheel, 4-wheel drive, off-road or on-road, I live, drink, well, I used to, it's not been part of my life for a few years now, but I live and breathe that stuff. So when I watch your videos, I'm kind of living vicariously through the fact that, look at this guy getting a rip through his machine out on that trail. That's fun stuff.
Oh yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. I wish I could have caught more of the video. Sometimes the camera went out. Like I went up this super steep hill, like it was because the valley just, some areas that are super steep and shit, and I was going up it. I thought I was filming it the whole time. I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. And I get to the top and I could see the scenery, and then it wasn't filming. I'm like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that was dangerous enough. I'm like, I go up with one hand holding my phone and the other trying to go up a steep hill. Like I'm just going, like, avoiding rocks and shit.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it's great fun, and people
Right
don't have the opportunity to experience that. It's
No,
I had my niece and my nephew there, and I taught them how to drive it. And they're like, 6 or like 7, 9 or something.
oh, they'd be having so much fun.
They loved it. They're from the city, and they came. They're just like, wow, like I'm driving this fucking thing. And
oh yeah,
it's
actually, that's
amazing.
some of the best thing you can do for your nieces and nephews is get them to experience that kind of freedom, because
exactly.
that'll
It's
carry
important.
through them for their entire lives, and it'll pay off.
It will.
Yeah, it really will, because you can't forget that kind of stuff. It never escapes you. So good for you for doing that, especially for the younger kids. But anyways, AJ, like I say, I know I've been rambling on for a long time, and I'm obviously not trying to get ready or anything.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if the people are like, I already was.
No, I'm good. I gotta go right away as well,
Cool.
too. Man.
Right on, buddy. All right, man. We'll talk to you again soon. Like I say, if you're talking to Frederick before I do, I just want him to know that got nothing against the guy in particular. Like I say, I just think he just hasn't heard enough, or enough people haven't sit down and talked about this thing, or maybe he's just a little bit stubborn. Like
He's stubborn, but like I think he said he wanted to. I don't know if you saw that thing where he said he wanted you to join him later or something.
Oh, later? Oh shit.
Yeah, maybe. I think that was in some of the super chats. Maybe he said.
Oh, okay.
said something like he might do a stream
Oh,
either
really?
tomorrow or later. I don't know what the.
Well, if
I
it's
don't-
tomorrow, I could do it. Now, Sunday, like I say, I already mentioned earlier, I'm doing a live stream with Tim Mullen, the leader of the Libertarian Party of Canada, which I think,
Okay.
yeah, join us tomorrow, AJ. This should be pretty cool because me and Tim, we're good friends and all, but he's taking a little bit of a different stance on the whole immigration thing, and I kind of get in a way because I've always acknowledged a lot of libertarians are business owners, right? So, right, I get their economic reasoning behind
Or
some
they're
stance.
Koch brother libertarians, essentially.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I like, but guarantee it'll be cordial, and like Tim was saying, chances are we'll probably fucking end up. Actually, I shouldn't say this because then it'll sound boring, but we'll probably end up agreeing with each other more than we'll disagree. But at the very least, like I said, just like the conversation I had earlier today, or even what we're doing now, is people need to hear these kind of conversations where you're talking in a nuanced manner and not just getting this kind of bullshit. That's the thing that's most disturbing to me as far as those who are part of the established media or the established thought leaders in this country. Is you're not helping anyone to think about anything properly. You're just telling them to like, follow my team, right? Join our tribe. You're not like, it's like, can we get out from all that bull fucking shit and just start getting our peeps to think about things a little bit critically? And I guarantee, like I say, whether you're watching our video today, this one now, or me and Tim having our little discussion on Sunday, that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get 5-second talking points or 30-second talking points or just political propaganda. You're going to get 2 people or 3 people or 4 or however many people that show up that are genuinely nuanced in their premises and their position. And they're just genuinely trying to figure out what is right. What are we going to do? And I think that's what we have to be the leaders, because that's the thing. If we're not leading by example, then all we're doing is, once again, we're just playing the same game as the political proponents are. And it's like that race to the bottom. And I'm sure Frederick, and I know I don't want to participate no longer in that race to the bottom. I want to raise and elevate people in their intellect and what they're rewarded for, or what they're compensated in their physical capacities, or what they provide in society. And that's all I care about at the end of the day. So if you're going to pay attention to what I got to say, whether you call it boring, exciting, or driven by philosophy, ideology, I don't care what kind of insults or what you bring to the table, but you will at least acknowledge that I'm not going to give you the same kind of mindless fucking bullshit that you're going to get on the established media platforms. That is for certain.
Right. And I think that's what they can depend on when they tune into YouTubers at the very least. More, like there's going to be a lot of fakers that are on still as well, right? But
yep.
It's the people care and like organic conversations. They don't want to hear some thing somebody's reading from a script, like the argument we're having earlier, whatever. Like, that's interesting. These are things that need to be had, and people they're starved of these types of conversations. They're starved about talking about taboo issues, subjects that are that could stir a few feathers.
Yeah,
they're
so
used
on the screen, man.
Yeah, Fred. That I was going to mention that Fred.
Cool.
I guess that's probably so. I guess it's later on tonight.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I can actually just click that on the stream. I didn't realize this. But
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, it's a good thing about this feature too. You can just put up tweets on the screen and shit. I mean,
I like that, right? I'm starting to really like this goddamn StreamYard. Actually,
they're gonna fuck it. They're gonna take it from us soon, though.
Yeah, we'll have a restriction, just like what's the other one where you cut off at 40 minutes, right? It's like eventually, yeah, if it becomes popular enough, yeah, we'll eventually lose them. As a matter of fact, actually, I'd be more than willing to even pay like a few bucks for this service, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, they're like $20 a month. I'm like, like, is it worth 20 a month?
That's expensive, though, right?
Yeah, that's expensive. Like 20 a month, 40. I'm
yeah,
like,
you should be able to get like $5, maybe, right? You should be able to do it for at least $5.
Well, you should be able to get like a really base down version like this for at least, if they're going to introduce, at least have this type version for like $5 or something bucks a month.
Yeah.
And then have the better version for 20 and whatever, right? Like,
yeah, but like I say, I'm still glad that we have this. And like I say, I'm glad to see now the people that are watching the stream can see that I'm it's right there. So he wants to do something later this evening. So I'll check it out. and see if I can, because like I say, I don't want Frederick to think that I just, left them off to the because I told him a long time ago that we could sit down and have this conversation. And I know it did get a little bit heated there for a while, but I at least want Frederick to realize that got nothing against you, buddy. I'm just, like I say, I got to stick to my principles. And if you can do a better job than me, then challenge me. But I think at the end of the day, he's probably going to realize that I'm in a pretty good position. I've worked a long time to put myself in a good place as far as my psychology, my mentality. But always challenge me, Frederick. Always challenge me. If you're watching this, always challenge me. But I'm willing to see what you got to say later on. And at the very least, I won't hang up on you. I won't misrepresent you. I'll allow you the opportunity and the time to say what you got to say. So we'll check out how that plays out later on. If AJ wants to join in or not, that'll be totally up to you. But
maybe I'll just watch because I don't want to get involved in the
I hear you, buddy.
The argument. Maybe I'll interject to moderate, and I'll be an objective moderator, and I won't take any sides, and I'll be like, enough.
I trust you to do that.
You speak now.
Yeah.
And then
actually, I would trust you to do something like that because you're a very, like I say, got a lot of respect for you, AJ. You're a good man.
Well, thank you, man. I got a lot of respect for you too, man. I appreciate that.
Cool.
And I think that, I would love to moderate that if you are doing it later. If I have the time, I would jump in there, and try to keep it civil, or at least try to stop some of the muting, or maybe I'll do it on my channel, and then I can mute people when they talk to it. There we go. Right.
Yeah. Anyways, it's all good. Anyways, like I say, AJ, like I say, we'll all figure this out at the end of the day. Because at the very least, one thing I do understand that no matter how much you might disagree on the surface, we're all in an intellectual pursuit. And as long as we're in an intellectual pursuit to learn about what the things that are truthful in terms of what it is to be a free human being, then I'm willing to interact and engage with anybody. And Frederick, as long as you know that, then don't worry about it, buddy. Like I say, if you want to do it publicly as a spectacle, I'll do that. But if you want to even do it privately, like I say, let me know. Send a message on any of my social media pages, and we can even discuss this stuff privately where you're not, put out there publicly. And so we can learn and adopt in terms of what our thinking or what our process is or where we're leading ourselves to where our particular stances are on issues. Because at the end of the day, I want to know, what are the thought processes that you're using that are leading you to take the position you're taking? And chances are there might be something along that process where I'll say, okay, there's an error, right? And because that's usually what happens, right? Just like with the, what was the old, before the modern understanding of the solar system. What was that? Now I'm having a hard time to think about it. But there was an old formula they used to use to understand how the universe functioned, but nothing ever worked out properly because it wasn't based and entrenched upon, because they thought the Earth was the center universe. Fuck, I still can't believe I can't think of that concept right now. But yeah, nothing worked properly under that because they weren't functioning under a proper, logically consistent narrative. Once you get to the point where you're completely consistent in your logic in terms of the things that you espouse, then you're like in a much better position. And I think Frederick just needs to learn a little bit that maybe some of the things he's alluding to, and because he seems like a smart and articulate guy, maybe some of the things that you're using as suggestion for your particular internal philosophy maybe aren't universally consistent. Maybe there's still some contradictions that are lying within that. And like I say, I've experienced that myself. I've gone through that cognitive dissonance. I've had to go through that fucking uncomfortable feeling. I was like, fuck, I got to take all that shit that I learned in the past, wipe it out, and replace it with something new. It's not easy, Frederick. It's a tough one. But like I said, not everyone wants to do it in a public spectacle. So if you want to do it privately, I'm willing to do that as well. So I'll join you in the chat tonight if we get the opportunity, or if I get the opportunity, or depending on how things play out. Actually, I shouldn't even promise that now because I've already spent so many hours, and my wife might eventually say that, maybe you should spend a couple hours with me tonight. Right? So that's the thing. I always try to balance things out. I'm one of those people that try to balance, right? I have a personal life, I have a social life, and then I have an economic life, a work life. And it's like, I got to figure out how this is all going to play out, because if I put too much of my attention on one, then I'm leaving everyone else out in the cold, and that's not going to function very well. I got to be well-rounded. That's what I've tried to do as a person And that's what I'm trying to do even now in these kind of conversations. But Frederick, you at least know 100%, even if we don't have the conversation later tonight, you know, I brought you on tonight and I gave you the full opportunity. It's not like I shut you down, and you know that. And if you want to do it again, I'm totally conducive with doing it. Like I say, well, if you want to do it privately or publicly, let me know.
Yeah, Fred's an idiot. No, I'm
Stop.
kidding. I'm joking. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Go sub to his channel.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm probably gonna have to skedaddle
cool.
right around now. But thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. You know, I gotta have you on my channel. Like I said, I'm just out of commission for maybe a couple of fucking days at the very least. I don't know.
Yeah.
This swelling goes down and shit because
Yeah.
get that shit in your eyes, man. It's painful for fucking days. It's been burning. I'm just like, God damn it.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. And
Always a pleasure, AJ. Always.
all right.
You're always welcome, my friend. Always
Yeah,
welcome.
yeah, and you can come on my channel anytime you want to.
Like I said, I want to do the round table with you guys. Like, I really do.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I
anytime,
gotta
man.
do it.
Anytime
I gotta do it.
you want on.
When's your next
Fucking
round table? If I don't get to do anything like tonight, when is your next round table? Do you know that actually?
Saturday, Wednesday. Usually Saturdays and Wednesdays, sometimes Sunday, but like literally any time if you're on.
So it
You know,
won't be Saturday, but maybe next Wednesday. You guys
Right.
know your round table for sure.
yeah, it's on at like 8:30 and stuff, right? So
8:30
Central. So
Yeah, so it'd be like 9:30 ish.
yeah, everybody lives in fucking the
Yeah,
east.
I can do that. So yeah, next Wednesday, Frederick and AJ, just give me a link, reach out to me, and if you want, I'll join in, and we'll have the longest chat that you want, and let Frederick, go up and down one side of me, down the other. I don't care, like whatever. We'll have a conversation. But yeah, I'm more than willing to engage with you guys, and well, especially you, but even Frederick and Chris, was it Gunderson, right? Any one of them, bring any of them onto the conversation, because I'm always willing to interact and engage with anybody. Like I say, I think both of those guys I think we can learn a lot from each other.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, there's that's the thing. You know, there's only so much we can know.
Yep.
In one person, so there's always, even like a mentally disabled person, I'm sure could teach you something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
They can.
100%.
So, you always got to be open. Like even somebody like Frederick can teach you something.
Yeah.
No, I'm just being hard on him, but once again.
Yeah, but we all know that's the beautiful thing about knowing AJ now, is if you were the first time I ever watched your video, you'd be like, what the fuck? But we all know you just say it's comedic, and I get it. It's funny.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious actually, because the way you do it's great. But anyways, AJ, I'll let you go, buddy. You have yourself a great night, and all those of you in the chat, sorry that we didn't get to interact as much as I probably would have liked to, but like I like to talk. Obviously, but thanks for everyone that joined into this conversation, and Rika, and I noticed that Trish, Bossman, Daniel, Swen, AJ. Damn, I already know AJ's in there. But Gato was in there. We had who else? Faye was in there. Leon. I mean, there was tons of people in there earlier, but I know we're probably getting so far off beyond now. But anyways, yeah, lots of people.
Don't mention Boss Man.
Oh, really?
That guy doesn't deserve it.
Oh, really? Oh, so
Yeah.
Actually, you know what?
I'm kidding. I'm
Now that I'm
joking.
on this thing. Hey, do we have a way? Do we have a way to give moderator status? No.
Don't do it.
Okay, all right. I'll stay away from the.
Don't give it to him.
No. I'm just saying, like, for those, because one thing, remember back earlier on, I don't know if you remember this, but someone put some fucking stupid, crazy shit on my post that had to do with like kids or something. It's like,
Oh, if you want to give it, just go next to somebody's name and you see those three little dots.
yeah, no,
Like,
but because
oh.
on this new platform, StreamYards, I would imagine you can do the exact same thing, though, right?
Well, I'm just looking at the page on YouTube itself, and if you look at the page
You still
itself
get
on
the
YouTube,
option, right?
yeah, like you could still do it. Like
Yeah.
you just highlight their, you look at Trish Farron and you look over
Yeah.
her name, and
Yeah, no,
should
you're
be
right.
you
Yeah,
should be able to give it to
same
her
idea.
there.
So I already have a couple already there.
Because you're just using StreamYards to get into
Yeah.
YouTube, so you're still everything is still YouTube, right? So
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
still moderate, give moderator status to people on your channel, because that also applies to your regular videos as well. You know what I mean? So they can
Yeah.
moderate your comments on your regular videos.
Yeah, and
potentially, right?
I see Rika's been in the chat the whole time, and I already gave her moderator status, so I'm sure she would have already been paying attention to that stuff anyways, which is great. Oh, Julie Nora. I'll mention Julie Nora once again because she was in the chat earlier too. I love Julie. She's great. She puts out some great content. But anyways, thanks again, AJ. Thanks again to everyone in the chat. I'm finally going to take a break. Right?
All right, guys.
Get
Take it easy, Bennett.
wet the whistle a little bit more, although I've already done a few wet in the whistle. But yeah, thanks, AJ. We'll talk to you again soon, buddy. And
Okay.
Everyone in the chat, have yourself a great night. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you on Sunday. Join me on Sunday when I do have my conversation with Tim Owen, because I expect that'll be a pretty cool chat, to be honest with you. Because Tim is a smart guy, and he's going to bring his A game. That I can assure you. And of course, so will I. But I guarantee at the end of the day, you'll probably realize that, yeah, we're just like with the conversation we had tonight. We're going to come about it from a philosophical understanding. And there isn't going to be the premise of that we're adversaries. We're just trying to figure out what's the best path going forward. And that's something that I think is the best idea as far as trying to educate and inform people. It's not telling them how to think, but just to simply think. So take it easy, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you later. It's Gay Libertarian, and I love liberty.